Good afternoon, everybody. Fourth day of our presentations. This is the evening session. In this session, we have the presentations by these students and their topics. Let us read out the names of the students and their topics. Tanvi will be making on presentation on the role of art in politics, propaganda versus personal expression. Rajdeep's will be on From Watchdog to Lapdog, Ishiguro's Fiction and the Rise of Godi Media in Post 2014 Indian Journalism. Shatakshi's will be on The Theme of Hopelessness versus Hope in Waiting for Godot. Waiting for Godot is the title, so put it in single inverted comma. Devangini on Psychoanalytical Interpretation of Waiting for Godot. Theme Repression and the Unconscious. Now, this is a very lengthy title. Only one you can keep, psychoanalytical interpretation. Remove the another part. Okay? Sagar on power and dependency, the Vladimir Estragon dynamic. Mansi on George Orwell and the theory of totalitarianism. In 1984, you also need to rework Orwell. W should be capital. And there is unnecessary colon there. Okay? 1984, when you write in spelling. First time when you write in your answers also, write in spelling, NINE 1980-4. That is how the original title is written. Then you can use 1984. But first time in the title, even when in exam you write your answers, see that you don't start writing 1984 as 1984. But spelling should be written. Rosmin 1984, George Orwell's novel versus 1984 film, Michael Redford. Again, you need to work on, you can say that a study of film adaptation of George Orwell's 1984. That way, try to make it a little bit better. Smriti on the commodification of fear, how governments and corporations use fear to control populations. Okay. Krishna Baraya on political orthodoxy as religious devotion in 1984. Correct the spelling, everybody. Those who have written 1984, write the spelling of the title in single inverted comma. Nishtha, Big Brother in the Digital Age, Surveillance and Thought Control in Orwell's 1984 and Modern Society. I think modern means you want to say contemporary. So better use the word contemporary. Modern and contemporary should not get confused. When we study modern literature, postmodern literature, modern is 100 years old now. So use the word contemporary. Srushti on reinterpreting George Orwell's 1984. There is a hyphen between 80 and 4. Dash between that. Psychological, political, and structural insights. Okay? Mitas on Through Orwell's Eyes, a world starved of empathy. Nirali's on Utopia, Dystopia, and the middle class in George Orwell's 1984. Shrutis on 1984 as a satire of Stalinism and bureaucratic power. And the last one will be by Nikita on In Memory of W.B. Yeats, Auden and the Role of Poetry in Society. Okay. So let us start with the first presentation. Yes.
Hello everyone, good afternoon. I am Tanvi Mehra. My today's presentation topic is the role of art in politics, propaganda versus personal expression. This is my academic information. This is table of content. Research question for my presentation is, how does art function as both a tool of political propaganda and a medium for personal expression, and what are the ethical responsibilities of artists in shaping societal narratives? Hypothesis of my presentation is, art has the power of influence public perception and shape historical narratives, while propaganda art serves political agendas. Personal expression in art fact fosters individual thought and cultural transformation, making the role of the artist both impactful and ethically complex. Introduction. Throughout history, art has never been just a decoration, it has been a weapon, a mirror, and a voice. Governments have used it to rally support, to glorify wars, to demonize enemies. At the same time, artists have used it to resist question and to express what cannot be said aloud. And in Keijo Ishiguro's novel, An Artist of the Floating World, we meet Masuji Ono, a painter who once used his art to support Japan's imperialist ideology, but after the war, society changes, and so does its judgment of Ono's past. His shift sets up the novel's central tension between art that serves power and art that expresses truth. This is information about writer and about an artist of the floating world. This novel takes us to post World War II in Japan, a country rebuilding itself after a devastation. Both physically and morally, the central figure Masuji Ono is a retired artist looking back on his career. Once he was respected, even celebrated for making patriotic art and encourage Japan's military ambitions. Now that same work is viewed with shame. Art as uh, art as propaganda. This is when art is used with a clear political intention. It doesn't just reflect reality, it shapes it. Think of wartime posters with heroic soldiers or smiling farmers. These images weren't just art, they were tools to control minds. And in the novel, Ono's work served Japan's military's ambitions, and he paint images that glorify war and nationalism. At the time, he believed it was noble, but after Japan's defeat, those same images become symbols of guilt. This shows how propaganda may serve a purpose in one era but be condemned in another. And it also reminds us that artistic are not just innocent bystanders. When they create for power, they become part of the political machine, whether they realize it or not. Art as personal expression. uh, Contrast propaganda with personal expression. This is when an artist pours their soul into the work, their struggles, emotions, experience, and dreams. It's raw, honest, and often not meant to please anyone. Think of Van Gogh's Starry Night. He wasn't painting for approval, he was painting his inner world. For Frida Kahlo's self portraits, full of paint and real lines. These works don't serve politics, they serve truth. In An Artist of the Floating World, the tension lies here. Ono started his career painting beautifully emotional pieces, but then he shifted to political themes. That shift cost him his artistic identity and maybe even his peace of mind. The moral dilemma in An Artist of the Floating World. This is the heart of the novel. Ono faces a deep moral dilemma. Did he do the right thing by supporting Japan's imperialism, or was he just swept up by power and pride? He often justifies himself, saying he acted out of patriotism, but we sense his doubt. He avoids talking about certain things. He hesitates. The novel never gives us a clear answer because Ishiguro wants us to feel that tension between guilt and self defense. The impact of art on society. Art isn't passive. It shapes on how people think, feel, and remember. Ono's paintings once stirred pride, but now they are a reminder of a painful past. This shift shows that art isn't fixed, its meaning changes with time and with the values of society. Art can inspire and unit, but it can also manipulate and divide. That's why artists have power, and power, as we know, always comes with responsibility. Ono didn't foresee the consequences of his art, but that doesn't mean he escapes them. Art and politics today. Let's connect this to the present. Art is still political, maybe more than ever. Today's artists don't just hang paintings in galleries, they use Instagram, murals, music, memes to speak up. Think of street art that protest political brutality, or songs that call out injustice, even digital art that mocks corrupt leaders. These are modern forms of what Ono did, but hopefully with more awareness and accountability. In conclusion, so, what have we learned? Art is powerful, and power is never natural. Whether it's used for propaganda or personal expression, it always affects people. An artist of the floating world shows us a man caught between pride and regret, between past glory and present silence. It shows how art can lift up a nation or bring shame to its creator. In the end, artists must choose, will they serve truth even it's unpopular, or will they serve power even if it means silence their voice. That's not just a question for the past, it's a question for every artist and every citizens today. So this is my references. Thank you. Do you have any questions?
Tanvi, my question is there ever such a thing as a truly a political art? Or is all art inherently political by existing in a society?
Almost all art is powerful in some ways because it reflects time, space, and values of the society it comes from.
Tanvi, my question is for you. How does digital art and AI generated content complicate the idea of personal expression in today's world?
Yes. All AI art raises the questions about who the real art is. If a machine creates something, is it personals, and whose ideas comes if AI generated art is not real, as we say, it's hide our original identities, and uh, thank you so much.
For this question, in recent times, there's lots of controversy going on about this Ghibli art, and on that people are writing a lot also. You will find lots of articles that why this is very controversial. Let me share this. So Japanese studio, this Hayao Miyazaki, he is the one who is the founder of this style of drawing the thing. And suddenly if AI takes over the things, then what is the usefulness of human art? So what a great loss, one can say, that throughout your life you struggled, strived, and you made your own style. And suddenly an AI is taking, and everybody is now making fun of that art. Nobody cares for who is the artist. So that is that to what extent digital art or AI can infringe the copyrights, human beings. It is a copyright of this person, Hayao Miyazaki. So how that style can be copied by somebody, or what rights do the machine have to copy without permission somebody's style? So these are the controversies that is going on nowadays around these issues. That way, it is a complicated idea.
Okay, so good evening everybody. This is Rajdeep Bavalia, and today I am going to present on the topic from watchdog to lapdog, Ishiguro's fiction and the rise of Godi media in the post 2014 Indian journalism. Here are my academic and presentation details, table of contents, introduction. So from watchdog to lapdog, my title is a literary introspection with modern media capture. So the opening title frames the discussion by linking Ishiguro's deep narrative style with the evolving compromised role of Indian media, and it invites the audience to explore how literary themes mirror contemporary media practices. And Ishiguro's novels celebrated for uncovering the ABC beneath our illusory and sense of connection, serve as a mirror to societal and media transformations. So this point emphasizes Ishiguro's acclaimed insight into human disconnection, setting a reflective tone that parallels media self-censorship and bias. Then the term Godi media, popularized by Ravish Kumar, encapsulates the transformation of the media from a vigilant watchdog to a very compliant lapdog. So it underlines the critique of modern journalism, where media outlets increasingly align with power rather than challenging it, and thereby diluting their critical role. And the connection between Ishiguro's fictional worlds and the real politic of Indian journalism sets the stage for a nuanced discussion on accountability and ethical responsibility. So here is my research question: that in what ways do the themes of compromised professionalism in Ishiguro's fiction reflect the emergence and practices of Godi media in post 2014 Indian journalism, with the hypothesis that Ishiguro's depiction of a moral compromise in his novels mirrors the decline of journalist integrity as seen in the rise of Godi media in post 2014 Indian journalism. Here are my literature review slides. Then Ishiguro's fiction and its universal themes. So Ishiguro's works, like an artist of the floating world and the remains of the day, dwell into the depths of human fallibility and collective responsibility. So his novels use subtle narratives to reveal how individuals, despite good intentions, often succumb to historical and societal pressures. And the protagonist embody a tragic compromise between personal integrity and professional duty, exposing the cost of unquestioned loyalty. So the characters' internal conflicts illustrate the struggle between following orders and adhering to ethical ideas. Then Ishiguro's narrative technique of restrained expression and strategic silence reflects the disnarration of hidden truths. So, by omitting details, Ishiguro's forces readers to read between the lines and revealing the suppressed realities of past injustices and personal failures. So, his exploration of human connection transcends cultural boundaries, making his themes universally applicable. Then characteristics of Godi media. So Godi media defined as media outlets align with ruling powers and forsakes its watchdog role for partisan reporting. So this highlights the shift in journalistic duty, where the focus moves from critical inquiry to echoing government narratives, undermining public trust. Then the term Godi, meaning lap, symbolizes a complete submission to authority and prioritizing allegiance over truth. So it captures the essence of media capture, where channels willingly become vehicles for state propaganda instead of independent scrutiny. And sensationalism, paid news, and fake news characterize this media phenomenon, contributing to a biased public discourse. So the prevalence of misleading information disrupts objective reporting, and instances of government influence and corporate backing further erode journalistic independence in India. So these systematic factors create a scenario where media integrity is sacrificed, resulting in narratives that serve political interest rather than the public good. Then parallels between Ishiguro's protagonists and media anchors. So both Ishiguro's protagonist and contemporary media anchors exhibit a failure to uphold the expected professional integrity. In We have example of many news media channel anchors like Arnab Goswami and others also. So in the novels, characters compromise their ideals, a pattern mirrored in media anchors who prioritize aligning with government. And the protagonist is adherence to outdated codes of conduct parallels the media's retreat from objective reporting. So this analogy draws attention to how both groups are trapped by legacy practices that impede genuine critique. And the comparison questions whether professionals and whether in literature or media can remain impartial amidst external pressures. And the erosion of accountability in both fields prompts a re-evaluation of what it means to serve the public interest. So this shared dilemma underscores the broader societal implications of how compromised integrity, highlighting the urgent need for reform. Then professionalism and the crisis of integrity. So Ishiguro's characters such as Mr. Stevens and Masuji Ono demonstrate how personal ambitions are subverted by professional obligations. So their internal conflicts reveal a tension between personal conscience and the duty to confirm a dilemma that resonates deeply in today's professional world. And the novel's critique the notion of professionalism that demands impartiality while ignoring the underlying moral compromises. So this critique challenges the conventional standards of professional behavior, urging a reconsideration of how ethical accountability is measured. And in the narrative of this narration, strategic silences mask deeper truths about personal and institutional failures. So the deliberate omissions in the narratives serves as a metaphor for the unspoken compromises that both individuals and institutions make. And the failure of ethical responsibility is not confined to fiction but extends to media professionals who mirror these lapses. So these observations draw a direct line between the literary critique of professionalism and the contemporary crisis in journalistic integrity. Then media capture and political influence. So media capture manifests when economic dependencies and corporate banking force news outlets to align with governmental narratives. So this dynamic undermines the independence of the press, turning news channels into instruments of political persuasion rather than watchdogs. So, and paid news and sensationalist reporting have become common tactics and compromising the core function of informing the public. So, such practices skew the presentation of facts that prioritizing the profit and political gain over objective journalism and critical debate. So the erosion of press freedom in India reflects in its low ranking on the World Press Freedom Index. So in recent 2024, India is ranked at 159. So and these rising cases of journalists is reprisals. So these indicators serves as a stark reminder of how systematic influences can stifle dissent and undermine democratic accountability. So, and media capture in India is not an isolated case, but a part of a global trend where power dynamics dictate journalistic practices. So, recognizing this broader pattern emphasizes the need for renewed standards of media integrity. Then impact on democracy and public discourse. So when media forsakes its watchdog role, the resultant propaganda undermines democratic values and public trust. So this point stresses that the failure of media to challenge authority leads to dangerous erosion of accountability in democratic societies. And the rise of fake news, as noted by Ravish Kumar, has become a, a preferred tool for subverting democracy in both autocratic and fragile democratic settings. So the manipulation of information distorts public perception and fuels polarization and thereby weakening the democratic process. And the interplay between media freedom and government respect for human rights is complex and varies across regimes. And this shift toward Godi media signifies a broader societal crisis where institutional checks and balances are at risk. So the decline in independent reporting, very geopard is the essential function of media as a guardian of democracy and public interest. Then critique and reflections on narrative techniques. So Ishiguro's use of controlled omissions and strategic silences invites readers to question the veracity of both personal and institutional narratives. So this narrative technique not only deepens the literary experience but also mirrors the selective reporting found in compromised media practices. And the protagonist self deception and reluctance to confront their past echoes the broader failure of ethical accountability. So, such self deception serves as a metaphor for the modern media's tendency to overlook inconvenient truths in favor of a biased narrative. And the critical lens applied to both Ishiguro's fiction and Godi media challenges audiences to reflect on the consequences of ideological conformity. And by exposing these parallels, the analysis calls for a re-evaluation of professional integrity in both creative and reporting practices. So the critique is intended to spur dialogue on reforming standards of accountability and transparency in all uh, all type of public life. Then conclusion. So the convergence of literary narratives and media practices reveals a shared crisis of professional integrity and accountability. So this synthesis encapsulates the center argument that both Ishiguro's fiction and modern media exhibit its troubling similarities in their failure to uphold ethical standards and the erosion of the watchdog role, whether in literature or journalism, threatens the foundations of democratic discourse. So it underlines the dangers implications of compromised accountability. And by drawing these parallels, the discussion urges a critical reassessment of how power and responsibility are managed in society. And the closing reminder or find in the novel remains of the day that try to make the best of what remains of my or our day. So this resonates as an invitation to restore integrity and accountability. So this concluding note reinforces the imperative to reclaim and revisit the ethical functions of both literature and journalism. Here are my outcomes that exploring Ishiguro's narratives alongside Godi media has deepened my awareness of how literature can reflect and critique media ethics and democratic accountability. So, this journey has reshaped my understanding of the interplay between creative expression and societal responsibilities, and which prompts me to value ethical integrity across disciplines. Then engagement with the comparative analysis has transformed my personal perceptions, making me more critical of media narratives and appreciative of balanced independent journalism. So I now recognize the importance of questioning established norms and encouraging a more discerning approach to both media consumption and professional conduct. And the insights gained have refined my opinions on professional integrity, emphasizing the need for genuine accountability and transparency in both literary creation and journalistic practice. And my experiences exploring these themes have not only enriched my academic understanding but have also sparked personal growth, motivating me to advocate for truth and accountability in all forms of expression. So the process has underscored the transformative potential of critical inquiry, leaving me with a renewed resolve to contribute constructively to public discourse and ethical media practices. So here are my references. Okay, thank you everyone. Any questions?
Raddeep, my question is, how might social media platforms challenge or reinforce the trends seen in Godi media today?
So social media can offer a space for diverse voices and independent opinions, which help to challenge very biased narratives. In very recent example is Ravish Kumar. I think one year or 1.5 year ago he was declined back from NDTV News, and now he is individually uploading his news on YouTube and other social media platforms. So this is a perfect example of it. And there are also some news media channels like News Laundry, The Wire, Jama in Gujarati we have Jamawat, and some individual creators like Akash Banerjee from the Deshbhakt, and uh, others are also upload their opinions on social media. So this is how it can help us.
So my question is, what role can alternative or citizen journalism play in countering the effect of politically aligned media?
So, alternative and citizen journalism provides a platform for independent reporting that questions biased narratives, and these journalists often covers stories which are overlooked by very traditional outlets, and they hold powerful entities accountable, and their work can offer us very fresh perspectives and very balanced information. So by having them, we they can help us to break through bias narratives which are spread in mainstream TV news channels. Okay, thank you everyone.
Hello, good afternoon, everyone. Today I present the theme of hopelessness versus hope in the waiting for Godot. These are my personal information. These are research question and hypothesis. Research question: how does Samuel Bucket's waiting for Godot explore the coexistence of hope and hopelessness, and what does the reveal about the human condition within the framework of the absurdist theater? Hypothesis: Bucket's play highlights the paradox of hope with hopelessness, showing that despite life meaningless and the repetition humans persists in the seeking purpose. Throughout its structure, character is the interactions of and symbols like the tree and Godot's absence. The play suggests the hope endures and even aim despair, reflecting the existential struggle between accepting and absurdity, refusing the abdon meaning. These are a table of content. Introduction: Samuel Bucket's Waiting for Godot is a deeply rooted in the tension between hopelessness and hope, reflecting the absurdity of human existence. The play presents the black cyclical world where the main characters, Vladimir and Estragon, are trapped in the endlessness waiting for their mysterious Godot. However, despite the apparent meaningless of their situation and the persist in the hoping of for salvation, change, or some from the meaning. This contrast between despair and the stubborn refusal to give the creates the central existential conflict of the play. These are a picture of the theme in Waiting for Godot is the endless waiting and meaningless because Vladimir and Estragon waiting day by day, but Godot is never arrives. This situation reflect absurdist hopelessness in waiting for Godot, endlessness, waiting, and meaningless. Vladimir and Estragon wait day after day, but Godot will never arrives. Their situation reflect the absurdist idea life has no inherent meaning, living theme, and state futility and despair. The time appears to have no progression. Each day feels like a repetition of the last, reinforcing their existential stagnation. Second is the breakdown of the communication in and memory. The character struggles to remember the past events, the making too difficult to tell in anything to change, or they have always been in this loop. Their conversation after go in the circle filled the contradiction and the non-sequers, reflecting the difficulty of finding meaning in language and human connection. Godot is the absent savior. The mysterious figure of a Godot Woman they hope will provide answer of a salvation never arrives to absence could represent the failure of religion, political or any existential force to bring the meaning to life. They fact that even they both they delivers Godot's meaning seems to forget previous and encourages the reinforce the lack of the progress. Hope. In the waiting for Godot, the persistence of the waiting, the despites of a suffering Vladimir and Estragon continue to wait. The each itself is not act of hope. They refuse to live, believing that Godot might eventually bring salvation purpose. Second is the moments of laughter and playfulness. Even their suffering, Vladimir and Estragon engaging in comedic routines and wordplay, suggesting that humor and might be a way of a cope with despair. They reflects the existential idea of the one must create meaning in the absurd world. Conclusion. In conclusion, Beckett presents a world where hope and hopelessness coexist, while waiting for Godot suggests that life may be meaningless and repetitive. It's also highlight the reliance and of human beings in the face of uncertainty. In the play does not offer the definitive answer. Hope may be an illusion, but the very act of waiting suggests that humans are incapable of fully surrendering to despair. These are my reference. Thank you. Anyone ask me to question?
So, my question is, how does Beckett use humor and absurdity to balance the theme of despair and hope?
Yes, Bucket used the joke
Everybody has completed yesterday's work properly. Have you checked your mail, timestamp, everything? No, that you don't have to give. That will be separate on your this one YouTube channel only. But yesterday you have not given timestamp your video. Peer review is done properly. Have you checked your mail again by seeing that it is done properly or not? I'm seeing one or two mistakes. That's yourself and edit the form.
Can I start, sir? So, good afternoon, everyone. My name is Devangini Vyas, and my today's presentation topic name is psychoanalytical interpretation of waiting for Godot. Theme I used in this presentation: repression and the unconsciousness. Academic information, table of contents. My research question is how do the themes of repression and the unconscious manifest in Samuel Beckett's Waiting for Godot through the behavior and the dialogues of Vladimir and Estragon? Hypothesis in Waiting for Godot, Beckett uses the characters' repetitive dialogues, memory lapse, and endless waiting is an expression of psychological repression, representing their unconscious defense mechanism against the existential despair and the fear of meaninglessness. Introduction. Samuel Beckett's Waiting for Godot is often interpreted through a psychoanalytical lens. Freud's theories on the unconscious and the repression provide insight into the play's existential themes. This presentation explores how repression manifests in characters and their interactions. Overview of Waiting for Godot, a play written by Samuel Beckett in 1953. Central themes include waiting, absurdity, and existential despair. Characters Vladimir and Estragon wait endlessly for Godot, who never arrives. Freud's theory of repression. Repression, a defense mechanism that pushes distressing thoughts into the unconscious. Repressed content influences behavior and speech indirectly. In Waiting for Godot, characters exhibit signs of repression through forgetfulness and repetition. So, in simple term, repression means people pushing away their scary thoughts and their bad incidents or bad things which happen with them into unconscious mind. The unconscious in Vladimir and Estragon. Frequent memory lapse suggest an avoidance of painful truths. Cyclical dialogue mirrors Freud's idea of the compulsion of repeat. Unresolved trauma. Estragon's dreams and Vladimir's refusal to hear them symbolize the repression of the unconscious material. So, as we know, in Waiting for Godot, both the acts are repeated. All the things are repetitive in both the acts, and repression thoughts are often came through their actions and their conversation. Vladimir and Estragon. Pozzo and Lucky, master-slave dynamic is a repression. Pozzo represents the ego's attempt to control unconscious drives. Lucky. So Pozzo here is our conscious mind, and Lucky is our unconscious mind. Lucky's incoherent monologue can be read as a Freudian return of the repressed. The shifting power dynamic reflects unstable repression and desire. Godot is the repressed object of desire. So in Waiting for Godot, Godot never arrived. So it shows that people also have a meaning or a hope for achieve things or hope for a better life, but they can't face. So Godot is symbolized that. Godot's absence symbolizes an unattainable fulfillment. Vladimir and Estragon's waiting is a displacement of a deeper existential anxieties. Tension between hope and despair mirrors the repression, push and pull. Real life use of this topic. So I just prompted my thoughts and give to ChatGPT, and ChatGPT gives me this. This topic helps us understand how people deal with stress and emotions in real life. Sometimes we hide sad or scary thoughts without knowing it. By learning about repression, we can notice this in ourselves and others. It helps improve mental health, relationships, and self understanding. So sometimes we also doing this, like our scary thoughts and bad things which happen with us, we cannot face in real life, so we push those thoughts in our unconscious mind. Conclusion. Waiting for Godot embodies psychoanalytic themes of repression and the unconscious. The character's behavior reflect Freud's theories on repetition, compulsion, and avoidance. The play's ambiguity enhances its psychological depth, making it a compelling subject for a Freudian analysis. So here is my reference sources. And thank you. Now you are free to ask questions.
So, Devangini, my question for you: why is the play called "Waiting for Godot"?
Yes, the play called Waiting for Godot because of in Waiting for Godot, two characters, Vladimir and Estragon, throughout the play endlessly waiting for Godot who never comes. So it shows that in real life also people have a hope and meaning in their life.
So my question is, why don't characters just leave the place in Waiting for Godot?
Yes, they will say that they live, but they cannot because it's so that they stuck in life and they don't understand what to do. So that's why they don't leave the place. Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. Today, my presentation topic is power and dependency in the Vladimir Estragon dynamics. My personal information, table of content. My research question is: how does the relationship between Vladimir and Estragon in Waiting for Godot reflect power, dependency, and the human condition in an absurd world? Hypothesis: the dynamic between Vladimir and Estragon illustrates that power in Waiting for Godot is not fixed or real, but an illusion that arises from a mutual dependency and the need to find meaning in uncertain, meaningless world. Samuel Beckett. Samuel Beckett was an Irish playwright, novelist, and the poet, best known for his play Waiting for Godot. His major work is Molly, Melon Dies, and Unable, as well as play like Endgame and Craft's Last Trap. He won the Nobel Prize in Literature in 1969. Introduction. Waiting for Godot is a two-act tragic comedy by Irish playwright Samuel Beckett, originally published in French in 1952 as an unattended Godot. The play features two central characters, Vladimir and Estragon, who engage in a various conversation while awaiting the arrival of a mysterious Godot who continually send a word that he will appear but never does. Throughout their wait, they encounter other characters, including Lucky and Pozo, discuss their miseries and their lost in life, consider hanging themselves, and yet they wait. The play is renowned for its exploration of existential theme, and it's considered as seminal work in the theater of the absurd movement. Power dynamics between Vladimir and Estragon. In Waiting for Godot, Vladimir and Estragon have a relation based on both power and dependency. Vladimir often appear more in control because he talk more and think about big ideas, but his word often hide confusion. Estragon seem weaker, focusing on his physical pain, but he is emotionally strong in some moment. The depend of each other. Vladimir company and meaning. Estragon for support and memory. Their roles often switch, showing that neither one truly controls the other. They repeat the same action every day, which gives their bond structure. Their power is not real control, but a performance to survive together in a world without meaning. Estragon dependency on Vladimir. Estragon is heavily dependent on Vladimir for emotional support, memory, and a sense of purpose. He often forget think of release on Vladimir to remind him for their past and why they are waiting. Estragon is physically weaker, often complaining about pain and needing help with basic talk like taking off his boots, while the sometimes talk about leaving and never does, showing that he feels safe with Vladimir. Emotionally, Estragon leans on Vladimir as a stable princess in a confusing and meaningless world. Without Vladimir, Estragon would feel completely lost and alone. The illusion of control. In Waiting for Godot, the character poses him powerful at first. He orders Lucky around, he speaks with confidence and act like he controls everything. But at the goes on, we see that his control is only an illusion. In the second act, Pozo becomes blind and helpless. He falls down and can't get up without help, showing that he is just as weak and lost as everyone else. His blindness represents the loss of certainty and power. While Vladimir and Estogan admit they are confused and dependent, Pozo pretend to be in charge. But this is just a performance to hide his fear and weakness. The play shows us that no one is truly in control. Everyone is trying to survive in the world that doesn't make sense. Psychological and philosophical view. Vladimir and Estragon endless waiting for a god show how people search for meaning in a world that giving none. The play reflects existential idea life is uncertain and often meaningless, but we keep hoping anyway. Psychological view. The two characters depend on each other to deal with fear, loneliness, and confusion. Their repeated action and word show how people use a habit and relationship to feel safe in uncertain world. Conclusion. The dynamic between Vladimir and Estragon is waiting for God show that power is not about control and about emotional and psychological dependence. Throughout, Vladimir seems more in charge. Both characters rely on each other to survive the emptiness and confusion of their world. Their repeated action and shared waiting highlight the human need for connection in the face of meaningless. Bucket suggests that in a world without a clear answer, relationship become our way of coping, enduring, and holding onto find a comfort in each other when nothing else is certain. This is my work cited. Thank you. If you have any question, feel free to ask.
So Sagar, my question is how would their power dynamic change if one character suddenly left? Would the play still function?
If one character left the play balance, break the balance, and the play lose emotional and existential depth. Their mutual dependency what is keep and each other going.
So Sagar, my question for you is a mutual dependence of shared power of a shared weakness in waiting for Godot.
This challenge the idea that dependency is always a lack of power. Thank you.
So I think Rosmin, you were not, you had an error? You edited? Huh. So what was the error? So you have not checked the mail. No? So that is what I'm telling, but you are not doing. If then yesterday, then you have filled twice the form. Why have you filled the form twice? The same, you might have received 2 emails. You have edited only in one. Then Smruti also has given the score. You are not supposed to, you have to first watch the presentations. You are not given? There is entry there. Evaluation. No, but here it is registered. How come it came here? So you have to edit that now. You might have received email also then. So after watching the presentations, you have to evaluate them. So watch another also and then evaluate today evening. Okay? Not before watching it. And your video also today will be watched by others and then they will edit the form. You have to edit the form. Okay? When you see your responses, are you able to see the responses? How many people gave you the score, the chart and other thing? How many I have given you? It should be uniform. So in 3 presentations, it should be 44 because Smruti might not have given. So how many you have? Tanvi? She is not there. Smruti has 30 because yesterday's is not evaluated. Okay. Mansi has 44. Others have 45. Mansi has 44 and Tanvi has 46. It means there is some mistake. Given score to Tanvi. Okay, so 46, 1 we can say, but 44, Mansi still has got 1 less. Are you all checking your mails? All the mails, 3 mails should be there. More than 3 also tell me that I have more than 3. So I can come to know. Otherwise, it will be difficult for me to find who has made a mistake. How many mails you got back? 2, 4. Which paper? The paper might be mentioned there. No? The setting, history, American literature. 4. Four forms I think you have filled, or 3. Meeta, you have received 3 responses. 1 for American, 1 for 1900 to 1945, and 1 for setting. Okay. Rosmin, you have submitted 2 yesterday in this 1900. 2 forms you submitted. What's your email ID? ROZ. Four responses are there, no? So in all the 4, you have to check whether you have given score properly or not. Hmm? You have? If you have given 2, then twice you have to edit it. No? 2 forms, 2 emails, both have you edited? No, one still you have not edited, which you have given yesterday at 8:50, around 9 o'clock. The one which you have submitted, there you have not edited yet. In the spam folder or other things you check then? And other all have given? Still, I think one is missing. If she has given twice, then somebody might not have given yet. 45 means you are 15. So it should be otherwise less. No? You all received 3 emails? All others you have checked properly? All everybody? Check yourself and tell. Yeah? Nearby, ask. Many of you are not looking at me still. Yeah? Yes. Only 2 only. No? So it means there is still problem. Okay, you can start.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Mansi Joshi. So here I am going to making my presentation on George Orwell and the theory of totalitarianism in 1994 novel. Here is my personal information. Here is my table of content. Here is research question and hypothesis. So first research question is, how effectively can George Orwell's 1984 be utilized as a propagandical tool to illustrate the characteristics and dynamics of totalitarian regimes such as Soviet communism in college level history courses? Hypothesis: Orwell's 1984 serves as a valuable educational resource, providing profound insights into the nature of totalitarianism and enhancing students' understanding of historical and political concepts related to oppressive regimes. Here is introduction. So, this novel is written by George Orwell, and main idea of this novel is that the story shows that what life could be like under a strict and controlling government like totalitarianism. And the important themes of this novel is that the people are always being watched. People are constantly in under surveillance. So lies are used to control what people think, like it's a agenda, propaganda by government, and people lost their freedom and they can't think or act freely. They have not their own idea. So they have to work in government system. Why this all matters in this novel? So this novel is important because it warned people about the dangers of losing freedom, and it is still important today because many of these issues are still happen in this world. Then the influence of 1984. So first point is news speaking. So fake language meant to stop people from thinking freely. So one is that line is from this novel is, don't you see that the whole aim of news speaking is to narrow the range of thoughts? Double thinking is like holding two opposites belief at the same time, like war is peace, freedom is slavery, ignorance is the strength. So third matter is the unperson. So someone who is completely erased from the history. So here we can see like history is also controlled by government. They can add some people. They can also remove at that same time remove some people. So it is how we can see how the government controlling everything in society. A memory of whole. This is the major symbol in novel, that where the government puts papers to erase the past. Then genre considerations, satire and utopia and dystopia. So generally our utopia is like our dream situation, but here he morely exactly used dystopia, like dystopian society, a story about the terrible future. If we image, just read and we go thoroughly from this novel, we realize that how it is dystopia. We fear, we have fear that what he will do and how they will able to control this situation. So image if we are real in this situation, so how can we handle? So here is the fear in the readers. So in this world, things are exaggerated and scary on purpose. So Orwell uses this extreme idea to criticize real problems in society. The kind of writing is called satire. So satire don't show exact reality as it is, but it stretches the truth to make a point. That's why it's hard to compare to real life. Next is the role of the state, surveillance versus laxity. So in 1984, the government controlled by Big Brother watches everyone all the time and controls. So everything people do, what everything people do. So there is no freedom, and even think your own thoughts. It's a danger. If you have your own idea, your own choices, it's also considered as a crime. So but in real Soviet society, as I mentioned this point here, so even though the government had a lots of control in Soviet society, but there were still small moments, and where people made their own choices. For example, some regular people can give advice to others. So this show that not everything was as strict as in Orwellian book. So people still had some independence, which goes against the idea in 1984 that all free thoughts were destroyed. Next is the concept of truth, ideology versus reality. So in this novel, Orwell shows as a world where the government controls what people think. The idea of double thinking means that people can believe two opposite things at the same time and not even realized it. They are they are on wrong paths. They have not realization because government settled down all these wrong things. So this makes truth something the government can change whenever it wants. So it's according government. And we can see example from this novel, like the party always say Oceania has always been at war with Austrasia, but last week they were at war with Eurasia. People quickly forget and believe the new version. It's like repetition is the repetition are the main idea of our mind. So if we repeatedly read anything, so we can believe in that. So government implies this rule. Soviet citizens and Stalin. So in real life, Soviet citizens believes that Stalin was always right and innocent. Even though history shows he was responsible for many deaths. This is like a double thinking. Next, fear and political control. So fear is used as the powerful tool to control people. Like bhai bin aprit na hoy. Like, fear is the mandatory. So the government called the party watches everyone all the time. So people are so scared that even think something bad about the party is a crime. If they have their own idea, they think it's a crime. So this crime is called thought crime. So it's sometimes caught. They can be arrested, tortured, or even killed. For example, the main character Winston is always scared of being watched. So he tries to hide his true thoughts, but when he starts writing in his secret diary, so and he falling in love with Julia, so he knows he is danger. And later he is caught by the thought police and forced to betray Julia because he is tortured so badly in room number 101. Then liberty in Orwell's thought. So freedom, liberty was a very important. He believed people should be able to think, speak, and live freely. But Orwell knew that freedom is in danger in this novel. So he saw two big threats, like authoritarian socialism, and second is capitalist explanation. So in authoritarianism, we can see like in Nazi Germany or Soviet Russia, where the government had too much power and controlled everything. Orwell hated this because it took away people's freedom. Like control is good, but but it is very personally, and it's also restrict our own idea, then it is in danger. And second point, as I made, is capitalist explanation. So where rich people and big businesses had too much power and used poor people unfairly. Orwell didn't like this either because it made life hard for many and limited their choice. So conclusion is, in this novel shows us how dangerous totalitarian government can be. The story is warning about what happened when the government controls everything. So people's actions, thoughts, and even the truth. So it shows how fear is used to make people obey and how lies are used to keep power. So in the end, the novel teaches us that when leaders have too much power and the no limits of that, so they can destroy freedom and our truth. Here is my references, and thank you.
For you, how does Orwell view liberty, and how does he critique both authoritarian socialism and capitalist exploration in the relation to it?
So this party uses constant surveillance, torture, and the psychological manipulation to control citizen and through the fear. So using total obedience, the Khrushchev era saw a reduction instead the terror. So the release of political prisoners limited liberation, but here Orwell novel is based on the fear.
So, Mansi, my question is how does Orwell use fear as a tool of political control in 1984, and how does this differ from the political climate during the Khrushchev era?
So liberty is the practical necessity of human being. If we have not liberty, then how we survive our life, and what is our meaning of existence. So the view of freedom of thought, speech, and personal space is a fundamental need of the human being. But here, as Devangini mentioned, that Khrushchev era, we can see they have they have not this much limit, as Orwell show in his novel, that they have some little freedom, like they can give advices to other, and they can think by their own. So thank you.
Hello everyone. Today is my topic about the comparative study of George Orwell's novel 1984 and the Michael Redford's film 1984. Both explore dystopian themes like totalitarianism, control, and surveillance. Will the novel emphasize the psychological and ideological form of control? The film adaptations bring those horror to life through powerful visual imagery. We will also look at that how this theme control continue to shape modern films and real world. That is my personal information. Table of content. First, research question. My research questions is about the how do George Orwell's novel 1984 and the Michael Redford's film adaptations differ in their portrayal, the totalitarianism's characterizations, and the dystopian themes. Hypothesis: the novel emphasized the psychological manipulations, language control, like a newspeak, and the ideological operations. In the film, adaptations focus the more on a visualize the physical operations, surveillance, and a dystopian world. First, introductions. George Orwell's 1984 is a landmark dystopian novel that explores how a totalitarian government used tools like a surveillance, language, and a fear to maintain a control. The film 1984 is directed by the Michael Redford, visualized these themes by portrayality and harsh reality of the life under such regions. My presentation explored that difference between the novel and the film, their thematic force and their own ongoing relevant in today's world, particularly that comparative with a V4 Vedanta's film and create a issue like a mass surveillance and misinformations. First, Orwell's 1984 novel, Thought Control and Propaganda. The novel highlights the thought control, thought concept like a newspeak and a language desired to limit freedom of experience by removing, rebelling, or complexity ideas. Another concept like double thinking, where citizens are treated to accept a contradictory belief and always they part of a control, history, and truth. Second, the psychological struggle of our characters, Winston. Winston, the protagonist, experiences a deep psychological struggle. His inner monology saw his fear, desire for love, and quit rebellions against the parties. Living under a control surveillance, Winston is a paranoid and unsure who to truth. Um, the ending of the novel is ambiguous. It leaves us wondering whether Winston's guilt genuinely submits to the party or just portrayed. These open ending force a reader to question that extents of how resistance under such control. Red Force 1984 as a film. The film adaptations visually believe the grim dystopian worlds using a dark, daisy cityscapes created a black atmosphere and the dystopian color pattern. Cinematography, Roger Deakins create a atmosphere that mirror the lifelessness of a totalitarian society. Unlike the novel, the film focused heavily on physical operations, though a scenes of graphic tortures, and especially in the room 101, we see how the Rigmins use brutality to break people. The ending of the film is a more visually definitivity. Winston's is so to be a broken and obedity, making the loss of individuality and the realities more clear and visuality painful for viewers. Key difference: novel versus film. In the novels, Orwell explore ideological control through a language like a newspeak, mind manipulations, and psychological preference. In the room 101 also, Wisdoms provide a deep and let us see the mental cost of living under a contest fear. The ending is ambitious, invite the different interpretations. In contrast, the film emphasized the external control, surviving punishment, and the visual horror of the rigging. Because the film can't full show internal thoughts about the Wilson's struggle in show through his actions rather than his inner voice. The film conclude the ending visually show that the party wins, making the dystopian message more direct and disruptions. Thematic relevance in today's influence on modern dystopian film like V for Vedantas and Orwell's Parallels. Themes for 1984 remain highly related today's, like a film V for Vedantas draw directly from Orwell's idea. Like 1984 V for Vedantas show a totalitarianism rigging that control people through fear, propaganda, and surveillance. Both stories highlight the danger of unchanged power and the surprise of individual thought. In this film, also show the room 101 as a main part. Today's world mirror many of the Orwell's wearing a mass surveillance in a real governments use a tool like a recording and the data collections program like NSS Freeze and the China's the social credit system watch the score citizens' behavior. Censorship, the novel portrait of information control resources with a correct debate on media manipulation on and the surprises of the division voice. Today's government manipulate the media, block a website, and silence journalists. Misinformations. In another key correct that the Orwell's idea of a double thinking and newspeak can be compared to today's fake news, deep fake, and propaganda to face tools used to confuse people and control public opinion. Conclusion. In the conclusion, the Orwell's 1984 and Redford's films adaptations both depict changing visions of totalitarianism. They emphasize a different aspect of operation. Will the novel delve into a psychological manipulations through a control and the power of language like a new speak? The film emphasizes the visual horror, physical operations, and the brutality of the surveillance. The influence of the Orwell's theme extends beyond the literature and the film, shaping the modern dystopian narratives like a V for Vedantas and remaining a deeply relevant in the contemporary political discourse. Issues such as a mass surveillance, misinformations, and a government control continue to resonate. Provide the Orwell's warning about the totalitarianism is not just a fictional dystopian, but enduring a continuity teller. That is my reference. Thank you. Do you have any question?
My question is, why is the ending of novel considered ambiguous and how is it different in the film?
In the novel, the ending of the novel is so that our characters was really love big brothers or he was forceful love to the big brothers as a government. And in the film also I differently show that um, governments is really forced to the our characters forcefully, and the end show that really forceful people forcefully government forcefully to the people to believe them.
Rosmin, my question to you, how does the theme of surveillance in 1984 mirror real world concern today?
The theme surveillance in the 1984 is really connected to our connected as China's as a CCTV camera, our CCTV cameras, um, live locations, and other some of the government's rules show that that theme surveillance is show the 1984 is today's time. Thank you.
All are present here right now. Anybody outside? Anybody? Then call them. If I sit here, go afterwards. Don't keep on moving. Huh? One and another one. આપણે સિનેમામાં 1.5 કલાક તો બેઠા રહે બધા. ઇન્ટરવલ પડે પછી જાય. ને અહીંયા કોઈને ચાલુ જ રહે, કોઈ goes out and come inside. You might be seeing કે હું તો એમને એમ બેઠો છું અહીંયા સવારના 4 કલાક પછી અત્યારે, તો એટલું જોઈને આપણે તો 1.5 કલાક સ્થિર થઈ એક જગ્યાએ. એટલી બધી શું ઉતાવળ હોય કે જવું જ પડે વારંવાર ઊભા થઈને બહાર.
Hello everyone.
Wait. A few instructions regarding in the memorabilia. The another students are preparing all those things for annual function, which you also have to start working in last coming year now, when you all will be leaders. And to bahar hata, you told everybody is inside. So anybody is out now? હા, તો મેં વાત કરી બેસો 1.5 કલાક. પિક્ચર જોવા ગયા હોય તો આપણે બેસીએ 1.5 કલાક, ઇન્ટરવલ પડે પછી બહાર જઈએ, તો એટલું બેસી કેમ નથી શકાતું થોડી વાર. So you all have to start preparing next year. Will be leaders of everything and how they are managing the things on annual day also you will see. પણ કદાચ એવું થાય કે જેને જરૂર છે એ શીખવાની એ જ ન આવે પાછા એ દિવસે, પણ અચાનક બીમાર પડી જાય કે કઈ એવું થાય તો એ ન પણ પહોંચી શકે. So I have to inform that you have to be ready for all these things. So they have prepared the things. I have shared yesterday this list of books, library books and other things. And you are seeing here that Srushti Chaudhary, Smriti Wadher, Devangi Nivyas, Rosmin Pathan, Nirali Waghela, Mansi Joshi, Big Zero. Huh. But you are not informed. No, but you have to inform me. I have shared then. But why not to me? પછી હું જ્યારે ઉઘરાણી શરૂ કરું ત્યારે પછી બાનું કાઢો કે મેં આમ ને તેમ. But what is wrong in if you tell me who told when somebody reported Khushi and a spelling ma bhul hati to emne mane jaan kari. So what's problem in informing me? If you inform them, then along with that, why are you not informed? If I don't know, how can I believe into that? I believe into the data and I share with everybody. જેથી બધાને પણ ખબર પડે કે આ બને છે. પછી તમે તે દિવસે ઊભા થઈને કહો કે મારે તો આમ છે, તો તમને જેણે જાણ કરી છે એને પહેલા જાણ કરવાની હોય. This is basic communication. Basic communication skills શું હોય? Thought રહેવા દો. They have not informed me. એમણે મને જાણ કરવી જોઈએ ને પછી કે આમને આ મેસેજ આવ્યો છે. So then till this is with me only, this data only. Everybody, time and again we tell ke why we give our mobile numbers to you, why we allow you to do WhatsApp and other things so that you can communicate. Now if you don't communicate, it is your fault. When it is attendance issue, every time then people come and tell that it was this or that. But why are you not telling in advance? પેલા કેમ એ કઈ જાણ નથી કરતા, પછી છેલ્લે તમે એ પાછા દોડતા આવો કે આમ હતું કે તેમ હતું. So others, બીજા કોઈને છે કઈ? સૃષ્ટિ, સ્મૃતિ, તમારે કોઈ પુસ્તક હોય ને તમે જાણ કરી હોય ને મને વાત ન કરી હોય?
No sir.
રોઝમિન, પછી પાછા કહેતા નહીં કે મેં જાણ કરી હતી. Then Mansi, no books are taken from library. Jyoti, સવારે that was there through week and other thing. So see that library is here only, and yet you are not serious about using library. We don't want this zeros there. In this, so next term when you are using it, you have to see that you visit library, pick up some books. ભલે વાંચો નહીં, ખાલી પુસ્તક જુઓ તો ખરા. લાઇબ્રેરી કેવી હોય, શું હોય લાઇબ્રેરીમાં એ તો જુઓ. Keep on visiting this library. That is what we want. Khushi Goswami has 10. Then Bhargav has 8 books. The others, Meeta has 1, Satakshi has 1. So we want to see that you all are using books, at least aware about what kind of books are there in library, exchanging some of the books. This is department, and then this is university, a library. So here also Meeta, If you have informed, then tell me. You have to tell in advance everything, not when last moment when I ask about the details. Tanvi, Devangini, here anything? Nirali, Mansi, and the other three were in the morning. So here also 0. So you have not visited library also? Library card ખોલ્યું છે કે નહીં account? એ બધાને માગવા પડશે when you come for signatures. Yes. હા તો હવે ક્યારે જશો? તાત્કાલિક જઈને ખોલાવો એકાઉન્ટ. ભલે એ પણ હશે કે હવે કેમ આવ્યા છેલ્લે સાવ. નમારા ઉપર પણ હશે એ. આપણા કારસ્તાની એવી હોય કે અમારે શરમ મહેસૂસ કરવી પડે આખી યુનિવર્સિટીમાં. So we keep on telling about sincerity and other thing, but some of you are not understanding. So this all, see that next year when you are senior, you will have juniors. નહીતર હંમેશા એ હોય કે એક પણ બગડેલી કેરી હોય તો એમાંથી બીજી 10 બગડે. 10 સારી કેરી હોય તો એક બગડેલીને સારું ન કરી શકે. એની નિંદામણ કરવી જ પડે, એની ચાંદી હોય કાઢવી જ પડે, તો જ એને સારું થાય. એનું ઓપરેશન કરવું જ પડે, નહીતર એ ફેલાય. એ કેરી તો બગડી જાય પણ આજુબાજુને બીજાને પણ એ ફેલાય. આ 0 ને જો ટકોર ન કરીએ તો વધી જાય, છેક સુધી 0 વયું જાય. છેક ઉપર સુધી પછી તમે વર્ષના અંતે ઉભા હો તો everybody will get a 0 because ખરાબ વસ્તુ બહુ ઝડપથી ફેલાય. You know કે બગડેલું સફરજન કે બગડેલી કેરી હોય, ભલે 10 સારી મૂકો ને એમ કહો કે 2-4 દિવસમાં આ બગડેલી સારી થઈ જશે, એવું ક્યારેય થાય નહીં. લો ઓફ નેચર એમ ક્યારેય કામ ન કરે. એટલે તમારે અંદર કંઈ ચાંદી પડી ગઈ હોય તો એને કાઢવી જ પડે. જો ન કાઢી શકીએ તો તમને તો બગાડે જ, તમે પછી બીજાને બગાડો. નજીકમાં હોય એને પણ એ બગાડ ફેલાતો જાય. And you will be senior, so people will see you. જે જુનિયર આવશે તમને જોશે કે આ તો કોઈ દિવસ લાઇબ્રેરી જતા નથી, અહીં ડિપાર્ટમેન્ટની લાઇબ્રેરીની પણ મુલાકાત નથી લેતા. તો આપણે ચાલશે કે they will learn more from you than from us. So you see that this data changes and you keep on visiting. Many times we put a message that there is library or lab session. તો એ દિવસે પણ તમે લાઇબ્રેરી યાદ આવે કે આપણે ચલો લાઇબ્રેરીમાં ડોક્યુ કરીએ, શું છે પુસ્તક લઈએ, જમા કરીએ, આપણા ખાતામાં કંઈ એન્ટ્રી કરાવીએ. આપણે માસ્ટર્સ કરીએ છીએ, ક્યારેક કોઈ પૂછે કે વ્યક્તિ કયા પુસ્તકો વાંચતા, એના રેકોર્ડ કેવા છે. લોકોને નોબેલ પ્રાઇઝ મળે પછી લોકો એની સંસ્થામાં જોવા જાય કે આ ભણતા ત્યારે કેવું વાંચતા. તો એમ અહીંયા પણ તમને નોબેલ પ્રાઇઝ મળે તો કોઈક જોવા આવે કે આમનો રેકોર્ડ આપવો જોઈએ લાઇબ્રેરીમાં. શું તો લાઇબ્રેરીમાં 0 હોય કે આ તો કઈ વાંચતા નહીં, આ કેમ આમ થઈ ગયું. So see this, that master students not reading books is not a fair idea. You have to have the habit of reading books. Seeing books is very necessary also. So here we have Bhargav with 18 books, then Krishna 14, Krishna Baraya, yes, Khushi, Ravya 11 books, Sanket has 9, and likewise. And then at the down, Satakshi, Nishtha, Rutvi, 1 book each. Okay? So see that next term you are visiting library regularly, exchanging the books and other things also. In memorabilia, this is, you might have received the certificate also now. Okay? And the events and other things also were mentioned. So here we see that Krishna Baraya is almost no events. Not participate anything? So then was it there? It is only 1 or what? Only 1 in your certificate. So only 1 you have participated. See, ઉપર જો તો 31 ઇવેન્ટમાં ભૂમિ, નિષ્ઠા, રાજદીપ has participated. No, this was not certificate, but this was, you have to fill the form, no? Data, to એના આધારે. So, but why it is 0 then here in this chart? Have you seen the certificate? In the certificate, the events are mentioned. So why here there is 0 in this? Mansi 3 only. Is it only 3 or there is any error? So you have not actively participated in the department activities throughout the year. It shows this, that you have remained inactive in the various activities that department has carried out. So you have not become a part of the culture of department if you are inactive in participating various events. પછી કઈ કરવાનું જ નહીં, એની પાછળ પડવું પડે ને, તો આ કેટલું ખરાબ દેખાય. તો પછી anything that happens, why we are showing you, that's why that everything is documented. No, but you have to ask these people, those who are there in that. જેને મોકલું હોય એની સાથે વેરીફાઈ કરી લેવાનું if you have doubt about this. Then Mita, 6 events are shown here. Then Sagar also, only 9 as compared to 31 events which your classmates have participated. So you also are remaining completely inactive with various activities that are going on. Then Nirali also only 10, Rosmin also only 10. There is very low participation. And without this active participation, you do not groom into as a student of Department of English. It is not about what is in syllabus or what marks you get. That is immaterial. But how in various activities you participate and you learn lot many things from that, that is very important. Now, that is why we have to keep એ બધું એમાં શીખાતું જાય. પણ if you do not come, then and we have to wait for this time કે અત્યારે તમે બધા આવશો, નહીં તો જેને કહેવાનું હોય એ જ એબસેન્ટ હોય. જે હાજર હોય એ તો બીજું કામ કરતો હોય, એને બિચારાને સાંભળવું પડે દરરોજનું, એનું એ જ તમારું એને સાંભળવું પડે. So this time everybody comes here, and so we get an opportunity to tell everybody that this way you will be doing the work at the end of next year. At that time also, like in this also, there are many such works which is not proper from that class also. A class na પણ ઘણા લોકો, you can see here Vishwa, Nanda, Priyanshi, Hemali, they are very much at the bottom. If you want to pick up them as a role model, it is fine and good. That is the choice that you are making. If you want to make Vishwa, Nanda, Priyanshi as the role model, then that is your choice. So in the same way, people will look at you also, that what way you are actively participating in all these events also. The same way we have prepared for the data of e-library also now. So today they will prepare that data also, and they will submit all the data also. In the email also right now we have sent the data of digital portfolio, all the charts and other things also. So, and we have given enough time to all the students that if you want to say anything, report it immediately. WhatsApp message is coming and inform us if there is anything. Then later on, if you will come, it will be not granted. When the time is given, then you have to report. If any errors are there, any omissions are there, then immediately report so it can be rectified. But you don't take that message seriously, or you like don't know where to message, how to inform to the concerned people, then it won't be rectified also. Okay, so this all things you have a look at it, and annual function also you look at the thing that how all the things are prepared, and which is what you have to also carry on in the next entire year. Okay, you can start now.
Hello everyone, good evening. Today's my topic for presentation is the commodification of fear, how governments and corporations use fear to control populations. These are my academic information. Research question for my presentation is, how do governments and corporations utilize fear as a tool to manipulate and control populations, and what are the political, economic, and psychological implications of this strategy. The hypothesis asserts that governments and corporations deliberately exploit fear to maintain power, shape public opinion, and drive consumer behavior. This strategy fosters political polarization, strengthens authoritarian tendencies, manipulates market trends, and influences societal structures through surveillance, media narratives, and crisis exploitation. The introduction. Fear is a natural human emotion, but in contemporary society, fear is a powerful tool. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. No, I can, sir. I will try. Yes. Introduction. Fear is a natural human emotion, but in contemporary society, fear is a powerful tool for control used by governments and corporations to shape public opinion, influence markets, and maintain power, shaping public perception through propaganda, surveillance, and media influence. Governments and corporations exploit fear to deepen divisions and ensure compliance. Much like Orwell's 1984, recognizing these tactics reveals how fear is manufactured to sustain power. Political fear and affective polarization. One of the primary ways fear is used is in politics. Governments and political leaders often create us versus them narratives to divide societies and ensure loyalty. This process is known as affective polarization, where people develop extreme loyalty to one political side while seeing the opposition as an existential threat. In 1984, Orwell illustrates this through the party's constant creation of external enemies to keep the population afraid and obedient. In real life, we see similar patterns, such as during elections in India, where communal tensions between Hindus and Muslims are heightened to influence voter behavior. When people are fearful, they are less likely to question authority and more likely to accept strict policies in the name of security. Populism and fear based politics. Populist leaders thrive on fear. They frame themselves as the only ones capable of protecting the people from perceived threats, whether cultural, economic, or security related. Right-wing politics often amplify fears about immigrants, minorities, or foreign nations, painting them as dangers to national identity. Orwell's Big Brother operates in a similar way by making citizens believe they are always under threat, ensuring their unwavering loyalty. A modern example of this is the political climate in India, where concerns over national security and religious identity are frequently used as campaign strategies to consolidate power. The corporate role in fear propagation. Governments are not only the only ones who exploit fear, corporations also do it. Social media platforms and news organizations benefit from fear driven content, which attracts higher engagement. Fear and outrage make people more likely to click on articles, share news, and stay glued to screens, all of which generate revenue. In Orwell's 1984, the party strictly controls information to manipulate public perception. Similarly, today's tech giants use algorithms to prioritize divisive and sensational content, shaping what people believe and how they react to events. Lobbying and government influence. Beyond media influence, corporations also shape government policies through lobbying. In many cases, laws are designed to favor big businesses rather than the public. For example, the controversial farm laws in India, which sparked massive protests, were seen as being designed to benefit large corporations at the expense of farmers. This connects with 1984, where the party maintains a rigid social hierarchy, ensuring that wealth and power remain concentrated at the top. A fear in business and political branding. Another way corporations and governments capitalize on fear is through branding. Businesses often align themselves with the political ideologies to increase customer loyalty and government favorability. Nationalist rhetoric is frequently used to boost consumer trust. In 1984, the party ensures that every aspect of life is tied to the state's ideology, leaving no room for dissent. Similarly, in today's world, we see corporations openly supporting government policies to maintain their interests. Like we see it with example of America's election procedure in recent time. Media, fear, and public manipulation. The media plays a central role in spreading fear. News organizations rely on sensationalism to increase viewership, often prioritizing fear-based stories over objective reporting. Orwell's 2 Minutes Hit describes how media is used to channel public anger toward certain groups or individuals. In modern times, new channels also often amplify communal violence, political conflicts, and national security threats to capture audience attention. Aspects of fear-based control is mass surveillance, as we see it in 1984. Governments justify increased surveillance in the name of national security, but in reality, it often serves as a tool for controlling dissent. Orwell's 1984 predicted a world where Big Brother watches everyone, ensuring that people never truly feel free. In India, surveillance technologies like the Aadhaar biometric system and internet shutdowns, especially in Kashmir, have raised serious privacy concerns. Psychological effects of fear-based governance. The use of fear as a control mechanism doesn't just affect society at large; it also impacts individual psychology. When people are constantly exposed to fear based narratives, they become more submissive and less likely to challenge authority. This is evident in real world protests such as the CAA NRC crackdown demonstrations in India, where government discouraged further activism. In 1984, Orwell shows how fear erodes free thought and forces people into compliance. In many ways, modern governments use similar tactics, ensuring that fear discourages rebellion and maintains social order. Conclusion. To conclude, fear is not just an emotion, it is a powerful tool of manipulation. Orwell's 1984 serves as a warning about how fear can be institutionalized to maintain power. Today, we see governments using fear to justify authoritarian policies, corporate interests, shaping laws through lobbying, media spreading fear for profit, and surveillance technologies being deployed to monitor citizens. However, understanding these tactics is the first step toward resisting them. Critical thinking, media literacy, and awareness of political strategies can help us recognize when fear is being used to manipulate us. These are my references, and thank you.
My question is, how does economic instability contribute to the commodification of fear?
Um, During a financial crisis, governments and corporation use fear to push self-serving policies, like I've mentioned that farm laws were framed as economic reforms, but eventually it favored big businesses.
Crisis led to the common commodifications of for fee.
So, governments and corporations use health crisis to justify control and boost their profits, like we seen during COVID-19. Pharmaceutical companies capitalized on vaccine demand, while government imposed surveillance measures in the name of public safety. Uh, that's seen as normalizing digital tracking and restricting freedoms of public. Thank you.
Yes, Krishna, have you checked the certificates that were shared with everybody in the group? Certificates were shared with everybody in the group. Hmm? You have checked, but you have checked your certificate? Was it there? મને તો નથી દેખાતો આમાં. I cannot find. Anybody can find her certificate in that PDF? 58 certificates are shared with everybody. So I see Krishna Wala is there, but another I am not able to find. If there is any spelling, another spelling. Like Rosmin is writing ROZA in email, and real name is ROZM. So it is so confusing. No? When you search with ROZA, you don't find the thing. So that's why we tell that first name, last name in the email should continue. Otherwise, it is so confusing and it is wastage of time also. Yes, her found anybody? It's not there, no? She tells it is there. So it means you are not, I don't know whether sincerely you are not checking emails, WhatsApp messages or what. But if you check, then you will come to know, then where is my certificate? Something what people normally do, no? They always see their things first. લોકો બહુ ખર્ચો કરીને લગ્ન કરે, પછી ફોટો આલ્બમ બનાવે, લોકોને જોવા બેસાડે. લોકો શું જુએ એમાં? પોતાનો ફોટો જુએ. એ વર કન્યાના ફોટા ન જુએ કોઈ. People always see there. So you should have seen your certificate first, no? But you have not seen. Otherwise, you have told કે મારું certificate ક્યાં છે? Because it is zero, so certificate is not made. And you say it is rectified, but I don't know how and where it is rectified. It means lots of work આપણા ઉપર કરવાની જરૂર છે. આવી બેદરકારી ન ચાલે. આ બધા કેરલેસ એટીટ્યુડ કહેવાય. ક્રામ પ્રત્યે આપણને આવતા ઈમેલ પ્રત્યે, મેસેજ પ્રત્યે આપણે બિન જવાબદાર હોય તેવું લાગે છે આ બધું. એટલે વારંવાર ભૂલ થાય છે. આજે સવારે જ કીધું બધાએ થઈ ગયું તો કે હા ટાઈમ સ્ટેમ્પ થઈ ગયા, તમારું જ બાકી હતું. તો આપણે કેવા કોન્ફિડન્સ થી કહીએ કે હા હા થઈ ગયું છે બધું. આપણે વી આર નોટ ચેકિંગ વેરી. આપણે આખું ભણીએ છીએ અનરિલાયબલ નેરેટર, 2 દિવસથી એના જ ગીત ગાય છે અનરિલાયબલ નેરેટર, પણ શીખ્યા કઈ નહીં એમાંથી. આપણે કંઈક બોલીએ એમાં આપણે ખોટા સાબિત થઈએ છીએ તો આ તો એ તો સાહિત્ય કે છે આપણને કે આ નથી કરવાનું, આવું ન થવું જોઈએ આપણી ભાષા દ્વારા. એન્ડ રિપીટેડલી ધેટ કીપ્સ ઓન હેપનિંગ. એન્ડ વેસ્ટેજ ઓફ ટાઈમ. તમે હા પાડો ના પાડો એટલે મારે બધું ચેક કરવા જવું પડે, મારે તો જાતે ખાતરી કરવી જ પડે. તમે ઉડાવું હા ના કરી દો અથવા ગમે તેને મેસેજ આપી દો, પણ હાઉ ટુ ચેક એવરીથિંગ. So this also like you see you need to change lots of things with the way you function or work. Concentration, your attitude, aptitude for work, you have to rework otherwise this kind of things will keep on happening. Time and again પછી મીતાની જેમ આખી પરીક્ષા જ ભૂલાઈ જશે. પરીક્ષા you forgot to appear in exam. one paper એટલે કઈ ઓછું કહેવાય. હા, you have given the exam, then clerk was telling કે તમે ભૂલી ગયા હતા એક પેપર આપવાનું. You have not given that exam means then one paper you have not given, second time also, second time, no, this was second time you have not given that exam. The clerk told કે તમે ભૂલી ગયા એ આપવાનું. હા. So this be careful because this is not fair. આ રીતે you behave and you are not ready to change your attitude. Start your things. When we are live we have to tell you, because when the messages are sent you are not seeing carefully.
So hello everyone. Today my presentation topic is political orthodoxy and as a religious devotion in Orwell's novel 1984. This is my personal information. Then research question. How does George Orwell in 1984 depict political orthodoxy as a form of a religious devotion, and in what way does this parallel underscore the totalitarian regimes mechanism of control over individual thought, identity and truth? Hypothesis. In George Orwell's 1984, political orthodoxy is portrayed not merely as a system of governance but as a form of religious devotion. When ideological loyalty to the party become a substitute for personal faith, creating an environment where dissent is equated with heresy and total control over individuals is sought through the manipulation of thought and belief. Introduction. So George Orwell 1984 is not just a portrayal of political control. It is a chilling reflection of how totalitarian regimes can turn ideology into a kind of religious faith. In the novel, the party does not merely rule through laws or force. It controls the mind and hearts of people through a constant surveillance, emotional manipulation, and the deification of Big Brother. So always in the 1984 we are also known as the main quotes that big brother is always watching you. So in this 1984 in this novel, Orwell's described that how people is controlled by party of governance, and they also describe symbol like a newspeak and 101 rooms which have very main source that which try to stop our faith and different ways to thinking about differently. So, traditional religious is replaced with party rituals, slogans, and the rewriting of truth. The demand for absolute loyalty and the suppression of independent truth reflect how political orthodoxy become a new belief system. So, author describe that when people describe a loyalty from only party and don't think about individually, so that time we feel that something is come in religions. Orwell create a world where doubting the party is not just a rebellion, is it a blasphemy. This transformation of politics into spiritual devotion illustrate the terrifying power of ideological control over human belief and identity. The party's ideological control, totalitarian regime, and doctrinal conformity. So, parties also we know that in the 1984 party, that means government changed the history because they don't want to describe the reality to people, and they want to control the people. The party in 1984 exerts a totalitarian authority over citizens by controlling information, language, and even memory. We also know that about the newspeak, which created by 1984 in the party. Through constant surveillance, propaganda, and the rewriting of history. It reshaped reality to ensure ideological obedience. And parties also changed the history and set his authority and its comfortness. This system reflects the behavior of religion institution throughout history, especially in enforcing doctrinal purity and punishing dissent. Just as a religious body suppressed heresy, the party punishes thought crime through torture, indoctrination, and erasure. So, we also know about room number 101. So, in the novel, thought crime means when you just thought indifferently. So, it's a crime. Belief in the party become a kind of political faith where citizen must accept contradictory truth without question, mirroring the acceptance of religious paradox. As Lowenthal observes, individual reasoning is replaced by total submission, and personal judgment is dangerous. A thought crime is a blasphemy, the suppression of dissent. Thought crime is a heresy. We all know that in this novel describe Orwell that when you think differently, so you get punishment. Thought policy as a inquisitors. So, thought policy is not just give a punishment and just inform to keep inform about people, but it's also say about big brothers information in the people, and it's also changed the thoughts of people and attract toward big brother. Double think as a mental discipline. So, in these double thinks, people thinks about oppositely in one time. Vincent's struggle with doublethink and his eventual conversion illustrate the party's success in eradicating independent thought. The suppression of dissent mirrors historical event like the Spanish Inquisition, where fear enforced religious orthodoxy. Then rituals of conformity, the 2 minutes hat and victory gain. 2 minutes set. It's a daily routine event in the describe in the novel. In that peoples of parties show the anger and shouted on the people of parties and enemies. So that time it's very helpful to attract toward a big brother. So, describe that Orwell portrays this expression of ritualized hatred as the equivalent of religious catharsis, where the crowd is bound together not by love but by a shared target of hate. Then victory gain, it's a describe a drink, but it's not just a drink, because it's a tool for ideological sedation. People when take this drink, so that time he feel a peace, but they don't know that he forget everything, and it's stop to think more and critically. Alcohol functions in the novel much like religious operates in historical regimes. It comfort while it controls. Then spontaneous demonstration, although labeled spontaneous, these demonstration are meticulously planned. They mimic religious parades and festivals, demanding full emotional and physically participation. By staging a mass display of devotion, the party ensures individual through as is drowned out by group ideology. Public ceremonies in Orwell's world are no less orchestrated than religious rituals. The purpose is not celebration, but surveillance through shared performance. Then contemporary events reflecting 1984. We also know that in the 6th January is one events in the create in the America about weapon and man. So many weapons is get from the one man's home. Just as in 1984, where the party manipulate history to control the narrative, the political maneuvering around pardons for those involved in the capital riots reflect a distortion of truth and accountability. In 1984, history is constantly rewritten to ally with party ideology, uh, erasing inconventional fact and dissent. Then protest and CCA. Before presentation mentioned by Smruti that about CAA. In India, the protest against the Citizenship Amendment Act CAA echo the tension between government authority and public dissent. In 1984, dissent is eradicated through constant surveillance and propaganda, where individuals are forced to accept the party's version of truth. Similarly, in the CAA protests, government action seek to suppress opposition to a law seen as a discriminatory, much like the party's attempts to suppress resistance to its rule. So, while the political system of America and India are democracies, some events and policy resonate with the theme discussed in Orwell's 1984, such as the psychoanalysis of truth, the suppression of dissent, and the enforcement of political addition. These events illustrate the need to ally political action with constitutional values. Then newspeak and double think, instruments of totalitarian control in 1984. Newspeak as a political weapon, controlling thoughts in 1984. So we all know about that. Newspeak is one language which created by parties. So they erase the world like freedom or resistance and truth, so and rebellion, so and he only write and aid that type world which uh, attract toward party. Newspeak as a tool for political control in Orwell's 1984. We all know about that this language. So Orwell's described that how party is use this language in our country, like in our India, when any politicians speak anything and mistake in the speech, so that time he suddenly gave a quote like Jai Shri Ram and Bharat Mata ki Jai, and public also give a response and forget the mistake that what is the reality. They can't try to see that. Doublethink and newspeak, reinforcing party orthodoxy. The section explore how doublethink, the ability to hold contradictory belief simultaneously, is supported by a newspeak. Then room 101 as a hell, the ultimate punishment. Generate fear. So the room 101. So we all know that not people is a kill in this room, but create some big fear in a human mind. And then psychological manipulation. So psychological manipulation and torture are used to force individuals to embrace the party's ideology through solution. Then complete surrender. We all know about that Wilson and Julia. It's also experience about fear. And Julia also demonstrate the complete surrender of individual identity to the party's demands. Historical example of torture and solutions as those used during the culture revolution in China. Parallel the methods in room 101. These tactics serve to enforce not only political elegance, but it's also fundamental alteration of one's personal identity. The dangers of unquestioning alienation, elegance. Real world implications. Political orthodoxy carries the potential for abuse, as seen in totalitarian regime demanding devotion and obedience. Then moral parallels. North Korea's Jews, it's also very, we can say, known for this. Then critical thinking, individual autonomy and freedom of expression are essential safeguard against tyranny and blind elegance. Then conclusion. 1984 is a warning. In conclusion, political orthodoxy is 1984 a function as a form of religion devotion. It demands absolute faith, ritualistic behavior, and suppression of dissent. Orwell's warning about the danger of totalitarianism remains profoundly relevant today. Organs us to defend individual freedom against all form of unquestioning alignments. We must encourage critical thinking and skepticism to resist the seduction power of political orthodoxy. Only by valuing individual autonomy and freedom of expression can we safeguard against the tyrant that Orwell so vividly portrayed. The fight for freedom begins with resisting blind alignments and embracing the power of independent thought. This is my personal learning outcome. Increased awareness of ideological influence. I have learned how political system can shape not just action but beliefs, value, and even identity, making me more alert to how ideologies operate in my own society. Then I can see how symbols, slogans, and rituals event in modern polity can work like religion tools to create emotional loyalty and suppress dissent. then I now understand that literary is not just a fictional escape. It reflect reality, and from it we can learn a lot about the present time. Then from conversational law like the CA and the policy of a political leader, I have realized that judge we should judge politics not by words or delocalizations, but by actual actions. Suppressing dissent and enforcing a single ideology is individually dangerous. I know, believe that the ability to think freely and ask question is the uh, foundation of a strong democracy. This is the reference, and thank you. Have any questions? So please ask me.
Question: how does George Orwell use the concept of thought crime in 1984 to show the dangers of total control over individual freedom and truth?
So thought crime, we also aware in this world in 1984 that Orwell described that thought crime means when you think differently and criticize, so that time you get punished because party does by because party don't want that people think differently and opposite to them. So they describe that, and it's also used the so many ways like news being then dean and other things for only that people don't go from our opposite.
For you is, how does George Orwell show the role of language in controlling thought in 1984?
Newspeak as an example, he used the language newspeak, and as I mentioned that our quotes in our India, like Jai Shri Ram and Bharat Mata Ki Jai and others, which have a use and newspeak. It's also a big newspeak as a work as a big tool to control of people by party. So newspeak is a one language which created by a party that rebellions and freedom and thought and truth. It's also erased from the language and history, and only thing that which said by big brother and party. So language is controlling the people and is very gratefully described by Orwell's. Thank you so much.
So, hello everyone. Myself Nishtha Desai, and my today's presentation topic is Big Brother in the Digital Age, Surveillance and Thought Control in Orwell's 1984 and the Contemporary Society. So, these are my academic information. These are table of contents. My research question is, to what extent do modern digital surveillance and thought control resemble the mechanism of control depicted in Orwell's 1984, and in what ways has reality surpassed his predictions? And hypothesis is the increasing use of mass surveillance, AI-driven censorship, and social media manipulation in modern society mirrors the authoritarian control mechanism depicted in George Orwell's novel 1984, leading to gradual erosion of individual privacy and freedom of thought. So let's begin with introduction. We know that in novel 1984, George Orwell used totalitarianism, thought control, newspeak, and thought manipulation and reality distortion. So in the digital age, we can also notice that governments and corporation use facial recognition, data tracking, and AI to monitor individuals and shape public perception. So from that, sometimes misinformation also we can notice in that concept. So my question is, are we heading toward an Orwellian future or not? So first is surveillance in the 1984. So surveillance means someone spying you or monitor you. So in the novel also we can find that surveillance like telescreens, thought police, Big Brother, and children are as surveillance. So telescreen in the novel and in the movie screening also we can find that there are telescreening everywhere, home and home and any another areas in the companies, roads, and everywhere there are telescreen and they spying public and thought police. In the novel we can also find that there are four ministries, and if any person thought beyond the dictionary of that country or ministry, it can be thought it can be it can be not perfect. Big Brother. The party omnipresent figure reinforce constant surveillance with the slogan. Every time they are said that Big Brother is watching you, Big Brother is watching you, and thought police also control that, and they said that it is a crime. And children as informants, we can also notice that it in the Parsons case in the novel, Parsons daughter said his information about the ministry, that Parson is against the ministry. So it also the how the children also trained by the ministry people, and how they are also spying everything. So surveillance in the digital age. Now we are aware that CCTV cameras is everywhere. So we can find that it also constantly we have in our mind someone is watching us. CCTV cameras are also surveillance. Then facial recognition. AI-driven identification improves the security but enables mass surveillance and tracking. Then GPS tracking also, smartphone, vehicles, and devices track location, aiding navigation but allowing movement monitoring. Then online data collection. Now websites also have data how what we search in Google and in any apps. So it also we can say that online data collection. Then methods of thought control in the novel 1984. So first is a newspeak. It simplifies language to limit independent thought, ensuring people cannot even express rebellion. So newspeak, any person not can rebel from the Big Brother and his thoughts. The double thing. So they use some slogans for double thing like war is peace, then slavery is a strength, and memory hole. The Ministry of Truth, if they don't like any history and any news, so they burn it. We know that Winston also working in the Ministry of Truth. So the news are also controlled by there. So it and if any news they don't want to share with people, so they burn it, and so it's known as a memory hole. Then thought crime and thought police also, we can say that they every time they said big brother is watching you, you must love big brother. In Winston's case also we can find Winston did the thought crime and how he tried in the room 101. Then thought control in today's words. Fake news and disinformation. Sir many time mentioned that WhatsApp University. So at that time we can know that how the fake news also, we also drive by sometimes that fake news. And censorship, sometimes that happen if one person try to rebel, so how the authority censor his channel, and all those things, how their mouth be shut by the authority. And mass surveillance. Governments and corporations monitor online activities, collecting data to track behaviors, predict action, and subtly influence decision making, reducing personal privacy. And in language manipulation. So, political correctness and control vocabulary reshape how issues are discussed, limiting expression and framing conversation in ways aligned with prevailing ideologies, much like a newspeak in the 1984. And emotional manipulation. So, media and political forces to use fear to the people, country people, and outrage and division to influence public sentiment, ensuring compliance by creating a sense of crisis or hostility toward the opposite views. And so the question is Orwell's 1984 is become a reality? So from my perspective, I want to say that in some ways, is Orwellian's 1984 is becoming reality, but it not fully becoming like Orwell's 1984, because we have thought freedom also. In 1984 there are not thought freedom, and so in now we have a thought freedom. But and also some privacy laws in Europe, like GDPR limits data collection. Then Snowden also notice that the spying people, data spying people, and in they also told us the spying data collection. So we can say that now Orwellian society is but not fully Orwellian society in contemporary times. So conclusion, Orwell's 1984 warns of surveillance, censorship, and thought control, and elements of it exist today. So mass surveillance, information control, and historical revision shape public perception, with governments and the companies tracking activities and controlling narratives. However, legal protections, free speech movement, and democratic institutions push back against total control. Privacy laws and whistleblower revelation highlighting ongoing resistance. But AI, social media, and digital tracking still raise concern about the manipulation. Unlike Orwell's dystopia, people can still question, resist, and demand transparency. The future depends on how societies balance security and freedom, ensuring truth and independence through the prism. These are my references, and thank you. If anyone have question, please ask.
For you is, can mass surveillance ever be justified, or is it just inherently Orwellian?
Yes, Smriti. Mass surveillance is not fully justified. It also help us self. It also save us from crime and all time. But when it shut people's mouth and social control, at that time, mass surveillance become not fully justified.
Question for you. How does today's disinformation compare to Orwell's concept of historical revisionism?
Yes, Krishna. In Orwell's 1984, we are also familiar with that. Any news they can't want to publish and they forget, so they burn it. Like in the Winston also work in Ministry of Truth, so we can notice that, and it compares in the today's we can say that sometimes we can also familiar with some disinformation, and when the authority don't want to we can say that in a few days ago we also noticed that in the both newspaper, sir also mentioned how the comparison of two news that can't want to share it, some positive wise on the heading, and the true and importance are in the bottom. So we can say that they disinform, and they don't want to show how the reality is. Thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone. Today I'm going to present about reinterpreting George Orwell's 1984 psychological, political, and structural insights, academic information, table of contents. So my research question is how do psychological, political, and rhetorical frameworks deepen our understanding of George Orwell's 1984 and its relevance to contemporary society? Hypothesis, analyzing a 1984 through psychological, political, and rhetorical lenses reveals that Orwell not only critiques totalitarian control, but also construct a psychological rich narrative and persuasive strategy that continues to resonate with modern readers facing issue of surveillance, identity, and truth. So, introduction. Um, 1984 has been interpreted in many ways, like politically, philosophically, even sociologically. But it also holds significant meaning when analyzed psychologically and structurally. The novel present a terrifying vision of future totalitarian regimes, but Orwell's intention was much broader. Through the psychological development of Winston Smith, Orwell critiques authoritarianism and demonstrates how language and memory and emotion are weaponized against the individual. Uh, Today we will see how reading of 1984 through these lenses can uncover new meanings and relevance of our own time. So the psychological development of Winston Smith. he is more than a symbol of rebellion. He's a deeply troubled individual shaped by trauma and repression. According to Marcus Smith's psychological analysis, Winston embodies the neurosis of a man trapped in a system that denies his basic emotional needs. His rebellion is not a purely ideological, it is deeply emotional. He craves connection, truth, and autonomy, which the party has stripped away. His psychological unraveling illustrate how totalitarian systems destroy not only freedom but also personal identity and emotional resilience. Winston's impulses and the past. His longing for the past, whether through a glass paperweight, nursery rhymes, or half remembered memories of his own mother, is more than a nostalgia. Smith argues that Winston's subconscious desire drive him to seek emotional security, often in maternal substitutes. He does not just miss the past, he needs it to restore his uh, fractured identity. This psychological escape into memory is dangerous under a regime that rewrites history. Orwell uses this dynamic to show how memory is both a survival tool and a political battleground. Orwell's political attitudes. It is important to clarify that Orwell's political position, as Connors emphasized, Orwell did not intend 1984 as an attack on socialism, but as a warning about the dangerous totalitarianism, especially when economies and ideologies become centralized and absolute. In his letter to F.A. Henson, Orwell explained that 1984 was about the corruption of power, not a condemnation of leftist politics. He still held hope for reform and social justice, but he feared the exploitation of systems built on blind obedience and propaganda. The symbol of a glass paperweight. The glass paperweight is a central metaphor in the novel. Sperber argues that it represents Winston and Julia's attempts to create a world outside parties' control. Its beauty and fragility reflect the delicate space of human emotion and memory. However, this word is an illusion and invitation of the party. As we learn later, the shattering of the paperweight marks the end of this false refuge. Orwell used this object to symbolize both the illusion of escape and the terrifying omnipresence of the state power. Orwell's rhetorical plan. So Orwell embeds his rhetorical strategies within the narrative itself. He constructs 1984 as a cautionary tale disguised in the conventions of thriller and a boy's adventure story. This stylistic choice draws readers into narrative emotionally before confront, confront, confronting them with disturbing truths about surveillance, control, and psychological manipulation. Orwell's goal was to make readers confront fears they already felt but had not yet articulated, making the novel a mirror of both societal and personal anxieties. Orwell's manipulation for the reader. One of Orwell's most brilliant technique is how he manipulates not just his character but also his readers. Uh, 1984 is filled with false clues, misdirection, and narrative traps. Like Winston's, we believe in O'Brien, we believe in a possibility of rebellion, and we are devastated when those hopes are crushed. This shared experience of betrayal creates a powerful emotional impact. Orwell makes us feel what is it is like to live under a regime that constantly deceives. Thus, we don't just read about control, but we also experienced it. Winston and O'Brien. The relation between both Winston and O'Brien is at the heart of 1984. Initially, O'Brien appears to be an ally, someone who understands Winston's doubts and share his dissent. We are encouraged to trust him, but Orwell uses this bond to reveal the seductive and treacherous nature of authoritarian power. O'Brien become a symbol of betrayal, not just to Winston but also to readers' trust. Through this relationship, Orwell exposes how fascist systems manipulate emotional loyalty to enforce submission. Death of Nostalgia in 1984. In 1984, nostalgia is a form of quiet rebellion. Winston's yearning for the past is deeply emotional. It's where he seeks truth, love, and meaning. But Orwell, through Smith and um, Spud, shows us that even nostalgia can be co-opted or destroyed by totalitarian regimes. Today, in a world of fast media and digital memory and political misinformation, nostalgia can also be manipulated, used to fuel nationalism or erase uncomfortable truths. Orwell warns that when the past is controlled, our identities and humanity are at risk. Connection to the modern time. Despite being written in 1949, 1984 feels uncannily relevant today. Connors and Sperber argues that Orwell's warning about authoritarianism, surveillance, and language manipulation resonate strongly in the age of big technology, fake news, and data privacy concerns. Smith psychological insights also remain timely, especially in a world where people feel increasingly alienated, watched, and manipulated. Orwell's novel help us understand the importance of individual consciousness, critical thinking, and the preservation of truth in resisting modern forms of control. So, in conclusion, Orwell's 1984 reveals a deeper layer of meaning when analyzed through psychological, political, and rhetorical frameworks. By examining Winston's character development, readers gain valuable insight into the complex dynamics of human resistance, emotional vulnerability, and the psychological cost of rebellion in a totalitarian world. Orwell's sharp critique of authoritarianism continues to resonate powerfully today, especially in a global context increasingly shaped by surveillance technologies, media manipulation, and threats to individual autonomy. Furthermore, his intricate rhetorical strategy elevates 1984 beyond dystopian fiction. It becomes a lasting literary warning and a powerful call to reflect on the essential values of freedom, truth, and critical awareness. So these are my references. Thank you.
So, Srushti, my question is, how can Orwell's writing style help students and readers today?
Orwell write in that way that we can think that makes us think deeply, and he also shows that how we can be fooled by someone easily by manipulation. And so by reading his work, student or readers can think deeply, and they gain a strength to ask a question and spot lies, and they can think more clearly, and these help them to deal with the information we see that in every day life.
So, Srushti, my question for you: how does Orwell's warning about power related to the world we live in now?
So Orwell already warned us about the power which was taken by government or group of politicians, and today we see that similar problems that government had, that surveillance on us. They called it safety, but they secretly watching us, and also they spread false information to manipulate other. And sometimes they take rights from us. So this warning of Orwell remains relevant today. Thank you.
Hello, good evening. Today my presentation topic is Through Orwell's Eyes, a World Starved of Empathy. These are my personal information. Hypothesis and research question. George Orwell's work reveal both the power of literature in cultivating empathy and the way in which language and societal structures can erode it, ultimately demonstrating that literature is a double-edged sword in shaping human perception. Research question. How do George Orwell's writing illustrate both the potential for literature to cultivate empathy and the mechanism by which language can be used to suppress it? These are table of contents. Introduction. George Orwell, one of the most influential writer of 20th century, was keen observer of power, oppression, and human nature. His work, including 1984 Animal Farm and essay like Shooting an Elephant and Hanging. Explore how authoritarianism, language, manipulation, and societal structure erode empathy. Orwell's experience as a colonial officer in Burma and his exposure to totalitarian regimes shaped his deep concern for justice. Yet his writing also renewal movement of detachment and bias. Through his lens, we see a world where individuals and stripped of their humanity, where language become a weapon to control perception, and where system of power foster division rather than understanding. By critically engaging with Orwell's work, we uncover both the necessity of empathy and the warning sign of erosion in society. Cultivating empathy, the potential of literature, and the warning from Orwell. Literature help us feel for others. The article Learning Empathy Through Literature explained that book help people understand different perspectives. Reading allow us imagine the struggle of other and see the world through their eyes. Orwell two sides, showing empathy and lacking it. Orwell essay like hanging and shooting an elephant show how colonialism dehumanizes people. He describes suffering and injustice, making readers feel for oppression. But at this time, his writing also show his own biases, showing that even he such struggled to fully empathize with the colonized. Continue. Language can destroy empathy. An Animal Farm, Orwell show how words can be used to erase truth and make people lose empathy. When history is changed and fact are twisted, people stop understanding each other's pain. The importance of thinking critically. Orwell work remind us to read carefully and think about what we are being told. Book can help us build empathy, but we must also notice when they fail to do so. Reading critically help us learn not just from a writer's strength, but also from their flaws. A hanging, the erosion of empathy. Prison cells compared to small animal cages. Orwell described the prison cell as a small animal cages. This makes this reader feel sorry for the prisoners, showing they are treated badly. But it also compared them to animals, which can make people careless about them. The prisoner's skin color, brown silent man. Orwell calls the prisoners brown silent men. The word brown focus on their race instead of them as a people. Silent make themselves powerless, like they have no voice. Race and religion first. A Hindu, a punny wisp of a man. Orwell described the prisoner as a Hindu before anything else. They call him a punny wisp of a man, making him sound weak. This puts race, religion before the prisoner's real identity. Shooting an elephant, the distant of othering. Orwell feel like an outsider among the yellow faces. He described the local people as yellow faces, focus on their race rather than seeing them as individuals. This created as a sense of distance between him and Burmese, making him feel separate from them. Generalizing about Burmese, that is invariably the case in the East. Orwell make a bold statement about people in East as if they all act the same way. This kind of generalization ignores the difference between individual and cultures. Describing the dead man, Black Dravidian coolie, instead of just calling him a man. Orwell focus on his race and social status. Coolie is a word used to describe low status laborers, making him seem less important. This choice of word make him feel distant and less human. Language as a tool for eroding empathy. Orwell Animal Farm. Manipulating words to control people. In Animal Farm, language is used to twist reality and control the animals. This makes them lose their ability to feel for each other and resist oppressions. The article, The Role of Language in Dystopian Narrative, explain how Orwell used this technique in this article, changing the truth and destroying memory. Language is used to change fact and erase history. When the animal forget what really happened, they stop understanding injustice. A squirrel, a clever pig tricks the animal into doubting their own memories, using words to create an enemy. Language is used to make some groups seem less human. This make it easier to ignore their suffering. Orwell does this in Animal Farm and also when describing people from the subcontinent in his writing. Fear is a way to control. Word can be used to make people afraid, stopping them from thinking clearly. In Animal Farm, the pig warned the animal that Mr. John will come back if they don't obey. This fear keep animal under control and stop them from questioning their leaders. Why Orwell's work still matter? Orwell's book are still important today because this article explain how Animal Farm and 1984 are still relevant in 21st century. This book show how governments and leaders can take away empathy by using total control, changing language, and oppressing people. Operation Destroy Empathy. Orwell's writing focus on oppressions which happen when people in power take away others' right and voices. Oppression lead to a lack of empathy because it stops people from understanding and caring for each other. The meaning of Orwellian. Even today, people use the word Orwellian to describe a world of spying, lie, and control. This proves that Orwell's idea about the loss of empathy and freedom still apply to modern. In conclusion, Orwell's work, particularly Animal Farm 1984 and his essay, demonstrate that literature has the power to foster empathy by exposing injustice and human suffering. However, his own biases and the way language is manipulated in his work also serve as a warning about how empathy can be eroded by critically analyzing Orwell's narrative, we gain insight into the ongoing struggle between empathy and control, making his work relevant to contemporary discussion about power, oppression, and the role of literature in shaping society. These are my references. Thank you.
So, Mita, my question is, why did Orwell use animals in the Animal Farm instead of human characters?
Orwell used animal in Animal Farm because animal represent many character and different type of people in our society like labor, workers, and followers. By using instead of people, real people, and we we easily lesson from this Animal Farm.
Gita, my question is, did Orwell's own experiences shape his views on empathy?
Yes, Orwell own experience shaped when how he show empathy when he worked as a colonial officer in Burma. At this time, he show to both the rulers of people that control all. Thank you. Hello, I'm Nirali Vagela. Today I'm going to present Utopia, Dystopia, and the Middle Class in George Orwell's 1984. This is my academic information, table of content, research question. In what ways does the structure of the party and the position of the outer party reflect the destruction of the middle class ability to create or maintain a utopian society? Hypothesis. The party's manipulation of language, history, and information directly target the middle class capacity for critical thinking and the collective action, thereby solidify the dystopian. Introduction. Rich article dwells into Orwell's 1984 using concept of ideology, literary production, and utopian discourse. The analysis center on Orwell's concept of democratic socialism as a utopian ideal contrasted with the dystopia of totalitarianism. The role of the middle class within Orwell's political ideology is identified as a crucial and complex. George Orwell, he is essayist, novelist, and a critic, and his two works are famous: Animal Farm and the 1984 definition of utopia and dystopia. Utopia is a ideal society in where there is no injustice, poverty, and it's a kind of dream world. While dystopia is opposite of utopia, where people who have power control the people, and totalitarian, uh, the crushing of the utopia. In 1984, George Orwell crushed the idea of utopia by dystopian, and in that, how we describe uh, uh, totalitarianism and people's think. The dystopian setting of 1984. Orwell is often seen as a prophet of false utopians, warning of the danger of totalitarianism. 1984 presents a nightmare vision of a society devoid of liberty, equality, and fraternity. The novel serves as a warning about the potential for political power to corrupt and destroy the best of human nature. The dystopian representation of Oceania. Oceania is portrayed as a totalitarian state that destroys individuality and community. It is argued that Oceania represents the potential for middle class individualism to evolve into totalitarianism. In 1984, Big Brother control the people, and how they control all the thing, people's life and all. Surveillance state that with camera and all are middle class people are watched by the political and totalitarian big brothers. Newspeak and double think. Language and thoughts are manipulated by the people who have control. Perpetual war. It's maintain a fear. The complex role of the middle class. Always view of middle class is marked by internal contradiction. He sees them as a potential allies in the socialist project. However, he also recognizes the middle class as a source of the individualism and elitism that can lead to totalitarianism. Inner party, the ruling elite who enjoy privileges and make all decisions. Outer party, the bureaucratic middle class, including Winston Smith, the protagonist. Pros, the working class, largely ignorant and uneducated. Instrument of control. Members of the outer party are both enforced and victims. They work for the regime, rewrite history, spying, administering propaganda, but
are also tightly surveilled and deprived of freedom. Psychological manipulation, unlike the proles who are allowed some personal freedom due to their perceived insignificance, outer party members are subject to intense ideological control. Fragile position. They live with the constant threat of vaporization. If they show sign of disloyalty, their position is more precarious than the proles because they are educated enough to question the system but not powerful enough to change it. Winston Smith is a case study. Winston represents the middle class intellectual trapped in the system. He is despised but cannot escape. Eventual breakdown and brainwashing highlights the impossibility of resistance within such a regime. Smith is a contradictory figure. Winston Smith is contradictory figure in the novel because he questioned the dystopian and totalitarianism of how Big Brother and all controlling it, and he wrote all the thing in his diary and hide it, but still they find it, and with that they how they torture it and all. Orwell's warning. Orwell gives a warning through 1984 about totalitarianism and how people are controlled by the people who have power, and he give example with Winston Smith that how his life become lifeless. Conclusion. Understanding the contradiction within Orwell's ideology, particularly concerning the middle class, is crucial for interpreting 1984. The novel's enduring relevance lies in its exploration of the tension between individual freedom, social equality, and the danger of unchecked power. My resources. Thank you. Any question?
Nirali, my question is, why are the proles given more freedom than the outer party?
Proles are given more freedom than outer party because all proles are uneducated, and ruling party think that the uneducated and the people who don't think more is not a threat for the anything, and like this. Any question?
Okay, next question you reply in the comment. Okay. It is by Meeta. So reply this in the comment.
Hello. Good evening, everyone. So today I'm going to present 1984 as a satire of Stalinism and bureaucratic power. So these are my personal information, a table of contents, and my research question. How does politics, Stalinism, and broader totalitarian regimes, and how do narrative devices like doublethink, propaganda, and revisionism reflect both Stalinist Russia and modern authoritarian control as echoed in Dibakar Banerjee's Shanghai. Hypothesis. Orwell's 1984 critiques Stalinism and universal totalitarianism through satire, portraying how regimes use terror and surveillance and propaganda and through though control to enforce obedience and manipulate truth. And concepts like a double think, the 2 minutes hat, and the Ministry of Truth mirror Stalin's betrayal of socialism and reflect real world and authoritarian strategies. And the novel's relevance persists in modern regimes using similar tools. A critic reinforced by Shanghai, and where bureaucratic corruption and moral compromise parallel Orwellian's oppression and reveal power's prioritization over justice. So introduction. So George Orwell's 1984 serves as a profound critic of totalitarianism and also bureaucratic power and suppression and oppression also. And in this we can the party's rule is upheld by two coexisting forces and irrational will to power, akin to Stalin's autocratic rule and bureaucratic rationalization, and ensuring efficient administration of operation. So, in this, there is a manipulation is a most important point of that. So the purpose of Stalinism is that according to the this new article was not to serve the people or uphold Marxist ideas, but to maintain absolute power. And Stalin used the terror, surveillance, propaganda, and rewriting of history and control of language and thought. So, and how Stalinism emerged. So I used this article, and it explains that Stalinism emerged from the power struggle in a Soviet Russia after Lenin's death. And Orwell was deeply disturbed by how Stalin had betrayed the ideas of the socialist revolution by creating a tyrannical regime based on fear and manipulation and propaganda. And here I take one example from Arthur Chrysler's Darkness at Noon. And it also it's about betrayal of revolutionary idea. So that is main connected with here. So Oceania is a satirical representation of Stalinist Russia. Orwell's depiction of a big brother and the inner party is a clear parallel to Stalin and the Communist Party elite. In this, we can also take one example from Ray Bradbury's The Fahrenheit 451. In this, government distress citizens with meaningless media and fake news and all the things. So that is the main point. And here the 2 minutes hat is a direct satire of Stalinist mass relies, and the party forces citizens to express their hatred towards a constructed enemy. And this session serve as a emotional manipulation, ensuring that people remain focused on the external enemy rather than the party's own failures. So next, double think as a satirical critique of Stalinist ideology. And in this, the concept of double think is one of Orwell's sharpest satirical tools against Stalinist thought control. And in Soviet Russia, contradictory ideas were forced upon the populations. The government claimed to fight for worker equality, yet elite communist official lived in luxury. And we can also say that in real world also politics and rich people are connected with each other. So that is the main point here. And the Soviet press declared freedom, but citizens who criticized the state were imprisoned. Orwell satirizes this hypocrisy by creating party slogans that defy logic. War is peace. Party convince people that constant war keeps peace within a society and preventing them from questioning their suffering. And also, freedom is slavery. So the party claims individuals' freedom leads to reign. So submission to the state is necessary. And last, ignorance is strength. So the party asserts that people are when they don't think critically. So next, the party's bureaucratic control over truth and history. So here, Ministry of Truth is a Orwell's satirical representation of Stalinist propaganda and censorship. So here we can take one example from Marcus Zusak's uh, 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 Marcus Zusak's one of the work. In his work, it's all about a ministry of truth. So Winston's job at the Ministry of Truth directly parallels how Stalin's government erased political enemies from history, and all newspapers were altered to feed the stats official version of events, and also records were destroyed or changed to remove any evidence that contradicted the government's narrative. And we can see here Orwell's famous party slogan, who controls the past controls the future, who controls the present and controls the past, so perfectly describes Stalin's manipulation of historical records. And here Orwell satirizes how totalitarian bureaucracies erase reality and force so people to believe whatever the state tells them. So, and here in today's world also, we can say that so many example that how people easily believed in such videos and fake news. So that is the main example here. And Orwell's broader warning satire beyond Stalinism. So in 1984 is not just a critique of Stalinism, but also totalitarian regimes. And in this, mass surveillance is the most important. That big boy brother is watching you anywhere. We can find CCTV camera and internet tracking. So many things going on in this world. So that is the main issue of that. Uh, Inward. So, and propaganda and state controlled media. So, in 1984, the party controls all news and books and films. We can say that here a diary in this work we can take example that diary is also mysterious and most important thing. So that is the main point. And Orwell satirizes how government manipulate information to control public opinion and tactics in so in we can take one example from Animal Farm, that who is in a power position, and how all treated people and all. So that is the main point. And Orwell's novel warns that when governments or corporation control media, then can shape perception of truth by censoring dissenting voices and promote propaganda disguised as a news, making it hard to distinguish fact from fiction. So that is and comparative study of Orwell's 1984 and Dibakar Banerjee's Shanghai. So here comparative study of film and our work. So in 1984, the party's bureaucracy ensured that power remains concentrated among the elite, with figures like O'Brien enforcing operation under the illusion of service to the state. So here oppression word, all people suffer from oppression, like in our real world also. We are also oppressed by government and all. So in Shanghai, bureaucrats like T.A. Krishnan are caught between duty and political pressure, and showing how real world governments prioritize power over justice. And in both similarities, both works depict bureaucrats as enforcers of systematic corruption and forced to compromise their moral compass to serve the ruling elite. conclusion. Orwell's 1984 is not merely a critique of Stalinist Russia, but a universal warning against the danger of totalitarianism. And his depiction of a double think and party and propaganda and the thought police serves as an enduring warning about the fragility of individuals' freedom in the face of oppressive government. These are the references. Thank you. If you have any question, please ask.
My question is, what is Orwell's ultimate warning about bureaucracy?
Okay, Orwell's show that bureaucracy in a totalitarian regime is not neutral. It becomes a tool of operation and enforcing obedience through paperwork and also illusion of normality at all. So this is the main point.
So who is next to ask? Mita.
So my question is, how was Shanghai similar to 1984 in its portrayal of power?
Both reveal bureaucrats trapped within corrupt systems and forced to serve elite while pretending to help the people. And also, we can say that truth is sacrificed for political convenience. So, that is the main point of that. So, thank you so much.
So, hello everyone. Myself Bala Nikita, and today's my presentation topic is in memory of W.B. Yeats, Auden and the role of poetry in society. So, this is my personal information, table of contents, and research questions and hypothesis. So, research question: how does W.B. Yeats W.H. Auden's claim that poetry makes nothing happen shape our understanding of the role of poetry in society, and what implications does it have for the function of arts? Hypothesis: while Auden assert that poetry does not directly influence political or social events, it plays a crucial role in shaping cultural memory, intellectual disorders, and emotional understanding. Rather than acting as a force for immediate action, poetry functions as a means of reflections and interpretations, influencing society in a more subtle and long-term ways. So, introduction. First, I want to say about in memory. So, basically, we know about this work. So, in this work, it's after its death, not alive. In his anything, but he's writing also alive in present. So all things change, not immediately, but long time after change some of things. So in introductions, W.H. Auden's statements, poetry makes nothing happen, from the in memory of W.B. Yeats, has sparked the debate about the role of memory, role of poetry in society. Auden argued that poetry does not directly influence political or social events, but instead serves as a medium of reflection, understanding, and artistic expressions, rather than acting as a tool for propaganda or activism. Poetry enduring shaping cultural memory and intellectual engagement. Through his work, Oden's critiques civilization, ethics, and human psychology, emphasizing that poetry's value lies not in creating immediate change, but in offering insight into the human condition. In this famous line in memory of W. Beats, where the poet says, "For poetry makes nothing happen; it survives in the valley of its making, where executives would never want to temper." So, in through these lines, Oden's emphasize that poetry's significance lies in its ability to shape thought and understanding, uh, uh, bring about immediate change. Oden's view on poetry and society. So, first is poetry as an autonomous art form. So, Oden's reject the idea that poetry directly influences political or social events. He argues that art is not a tool for direct action or propaganda. So, he argue about these things. Uh, some of works is not for propaganda. For example, in the public versus the late Mr. William Butler Yeats, Oden states that art is a product of history, not a cause of historical events. Poetry's relationship with civilizations. Odens see poetry as a deeply connected to civilizations, but not as a force that changes it materially. He is interested in how poetry reflect and critique cultural and social structures. His works engage with figures like Freud's, Pascal's, and Montaigne to explore human society. After the role of poetry according to Oden. So poetry's value in understanding society. Poetry help people interpret history, politics, and emotion. Spain may not have changed the war, but it shaped how people remember it. So it's main example we can get when war started. In that time, so many poets were writing for stopping war, but it's not immediately and quickly changing and stopping war. But sometime after, people remember that things. Poetry fosters intellectuals and emotional engagement, which can lead to long-term cultural shift. And poetry and civilizations. Oden was a poet deeply engaged with civilizations and cultural memory. He explored theme of society, ethics, and human psychology, but resisted the idea that poetry was a solution to political problems. The aesthetic and ethical role of poetry. Poetry should be valued for its artistic and moral depth rather than its political function. Odens warned against the making a religions or aesthetics, criticizing both Marxist and fascist artist propaganda. He believed that the true role of the poets was to uncover truth about human nature, not to detect a political change. Implication for the functions of art. So first is does art have a responsibility to society? Oden suggests that poetry's value lies in understanding, not action. And poetry poet is a way to reflect on history and human experience. without enforcing solutions. Second one is, does poetry truly make nothing happen? So poetry influences cultural perceptions and memory, even if it does not create immediate action. For example, Spain shaped how people remember and Spanish Civil War, even if it did not change its course. And poetry's role in a fragmented world. So, audience believe that a modern world lacked philosophical and artistic unity. Poetry should seek order, beauty, and truth rather than the being used as a propaganda. So, in conclusion, while Odin assert that poetry does not directly shape history and or politics, his work demonstrates its power to interpret, critique, and preserves human experience. Poetry influences culture and thought, even if its effects are indirect and long term. Rather than the enforcing political action, poetry provides a space for contemplation, emotional depth, and artistic beauty. In a fragmented world, Odin suggests that poetry's true functions is to seek truth, order, and moral understanding, ensuring that it remains a lasting force in civilizations. So these are my references, and thank you. If anyone question, please ask me.
So, Nikita, my question is for you. Given Auden's critique of both Marxist and fascist artistic propaganda, what does he suggest is the ethical responsibility of poets in society?
So poets should seek truth, explores nature rather than the serve ideology. Audience once against propaganda and emphasizing poetry's role in offering insights, moral influence, and artistic beauty, and encouraging the critical thought, like political over political actions.
In online comment, okay, one question by Nirali is there. So that
Thank you.
okay, so that was the last for the day. Today we had very good presentations from Rajdeep. Then Smruti also did very good. Nishtha also. Shruti and Nikita also was good presentation. Sagar's also was good today, content wise. Okay. Rosmin also presented well. Krishna's also was good. You added the slide of learning outcome. That was well presented. Srushti also did good one. Okay. Nirali's also was a good presentation. Okay. Okay, fine. So tomorrow will be our last presentation on literary theory and criticism. Okay, we end this session here.